All right. Welcome one and all, to the latest and greatest episode of the XB2 podcast. What is this? April 13th, on a balmy 70-degree day here in Chicago, episode 405 of the XB2. I'm Randall Thor 19, the man with the million, one of the co-hosts of the show, and with me, as always, we have Mr. Corden, Jez Corden. If you're nasty.
That's me.
Yeah.
If I'm what?
Jez Corden, if you're nasty.
If I'm nasty.
I don't know, there's like, I think there's like a Janet Jackson. It's like, Miss Jackson, if you're nasty, or whatever, like Janet Jackson.
And showing your age a bit there.
Yeah, I guess so. So, we couldn't do the show this past Friday, although you did a solo show where you dropped a lot of interesting things, which suddenly looking like they most likely or maybe will be coming true, which we'll be talking about today. But we do have a lot to talk about. But how's your how was doing the solo? You seem to really like doing the solo shows, huh?
Yeah, man. I mean, I was kind of hyped up to do a show, and then your internet was dead. So I just thought,
Comcast was doing because I called them and they were like, "There's scheduled maintenance in your area." I'm like, okay,
yeah, GG. It happens, but I was hyped up to do a show, so I just thought, fuck it, I'll do a solo show. I was gonna have a little drink and do a little show, but then I ended up not having a little drink because I don't know, but I couldn't find any mixer or something. So yeah, we raw dogged a solo show. And I had a good time with the XB2 peeps and get some infos and, thought I'd get, offer a taste of what's to come. I called the show episode 405.5.
405.5. But this is episode 4. Yeah. So is that episode supposed to come after this episode? The way you numbered it?
Well, isn't this episode 405?
It is. So wouldn't that episode would have been 404.5?
Yeah, it would have been 404.5. So yeah, I should have called it that. So I'll go back and retitle it, I guess.
Did you put it up on the podcast apps and everything?
I did, yeah. I'll go and change that number now.
Look at you doing some stuff. It's funny because I usually set up all the podcast stuff, which is why it goes so smoothly. Like, there's no audio issues. Everything runs perfectly fine. But whenever Jez does XB2+1, something always goes wrong, or we do Ultimates. Because he always hosts that. I'm like, give me some time off. Like, so I set up the show and everything, and I'm kind of waiting, and I'm letting time run down. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna pull a Jez Corden today. I'm gonna come into the show at the very late, like at 2:00, and just hop in there. Because normally I'm in there earlier, just doing some finishing touches. And then Jez DMs me at like 1:58. He's like, "Where you at?" I'm like, "I'm pulling to you. I just stroll in with my drink and everything, and I'm just like, everything's just supposed to be ready for Jez Corden as he enters the arena,
Bro, I have to pull down the Patreon stuff. I have to make sure the shout outs are being made and organize all that stuff. I have to do a bit of admin. And it's taxes.
And then he's just like, "Where are you at?" I'm like, "I'm pulling to you, man. I'm strolling in at the very end when everything's already been done. How do you like it?
I love it.
You love it. Unbelievable.
I love it.
Unfreaking believable.
Unbelievable. Do you ever watch that old YouTube meme? Unforgivable. No.
I might. I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar. I mean,
yeah,
it's certainly possible. I've seen it.
Yeah, you know if you saw it.
What about that dude? The video I've seen of this dude trying to break into a house. He's got the long trench coat jacket. Calls himself Harry Dresden, which is a character from a book. You seen those little memes? The little videos. Oh my god, I was dying seeing that stuff. You got to watch some of that stuff. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
I should check it out.
So, what do you want to talk about?
What do you want to talk about? Oh man, there's a lot to talk about. Maybe we should do some housekeeping first and then get into some topics.
Yeah, I suppose. Well, let everybody know that the XB2 podcast is live on this Monday afternoon. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. if you would do so, so you know when the podcast goes live. This episode is brought to you by the one and only Surfshark, right, Jez?
That's a great white shark noise.
Yeah.
I've been practicing other types of sharks.
I didn't hear anything, so I'm gonna imagine your noise gate kind of. Did you see that the shark movie's on Netflix called Thrash?
I did not. Should I watch it?
You should watch it. It's.
Is it cheesy?
I mean, it's one of those kind of movies where it's like a mix of. There was like one with like crocodiles or alligators, where it was like a town that got flooded, and then like the alligators are there protecting their nests. This one, it's like, I think there's a huge hurricane, and like the water pours over the edge of the, protective barrier, and oh my god, all the sharks swim into the town, and they wreak havoc, man. They wreak havoc. Like, it's definitely one of those so bad it's good type movies, essentially.
So bad it's good. Yeah, it definitely seems like something I'd enjoy. I mean, I'll check it out, man. But speaking of sharks, we are indeed sponsored by the lovely people over at Surfshark VPN. Rawr, rawr. And that's a great white shark noise. I can do other shark noises, like a Greenland shark. Like Greenland sharks go, and you've got like, I don't know, lemon shark. That kind of like,
those are okay. They don't sound very ferocious.
Nah, they're not so scary, those kind of sharks. But then you got like the great white, the great white's like, rawr, rawr. And that's why great white is like, never mind. Do you want maximum internet privacy? Consider Surfshark VPN, this week's epic podcast sponsor. Surfshark VPN is your all-in-one shield for private, effortless browsing. Whether you're streaming your favorite series, climbing the ranks in your go-to games, or just scrolling the latest trends, Surfshark keeps you covered with lightning-fast speeds and support for unlimited devices. For true internet freedom, Surfshark breaks down digital walls with ease. No more geoblocks, no more limits. Unlock global content and explore without borders and enjoy a smoother, cleaner web thanks to Surfshark's Clean Web feature, which blocks ads, trackers, and malware all before they can slow you down. And with a strict no logs policy, your activity stays exactly where it belongs, with you. Plus, Surfshark's advanced encryption wraps your personal data in serious protection, giving you total confidence every time you connect. Here's the offer. Xbox 2 podcast listeners get an incredible 86% off a 2-year Surfshark plan. That works out to just $2 a month. Take back your online freedom. Hit the link in the description to get started and search safely, surf securely, and surf with Surfshark. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Someone said, let's get a whale shark. So whale sharks, because they're whales, they kind of go, woo.
Yeah.
Whales, they got that whale shit going on. But yeah, that's Surfshark. Surfshark is fantastic. I use it every single bloody day. It's great for unlimited devices, RAM-based servers, so there's no data to even steal. Fantastic, bro. But, I haven't been using it for I always say, like, I use it to watch WWE in Germany because German Netflix does not have WWE, but UK Netflix does have WWE. But I haven't been watching WWE lately because the product is terrible. The product is shocking, Rand. Pat McAfee headlining WrestleMania. Are they insane? Are they crazy, bro? Have they lost their fucking mind, bro? I show speed over Carmelo Hayes on the card. Are they insane? Are they crazy?
I don't.
I show speed and YouTubers on the card. Jelly Roll, fucking Jelly Roll.
I mean, don't you like Jelly Roll, bro?
No. So no, I use Surfshark VPN to watch AEW instead. Nah, we're not going that bad. But I'll use Surfshark VPN to watch something that I can't get in Germany. Like, I don't know. What can't I watch in Germany, bro? What's banned?
I don't know what you
Gears of War 2. Gears of War 2 is banned in Germany, actually.
Is it?
Or it was. It was banned in Germany. I don't know if it still is. But yeah, Gears of War 2 famously banned in Germany for some reason. Oh, man. Germany, like, when I first came to Germany about 12 years ago, they were still in this sort of weird, like, we're going to censor video games era. So video games used to get censored, but they don't anymore. I think Germany's matured. enjoying the rest of us. But yeah, Surfshark sponsors the show. Thanks very much to them. It's a great deal. $2 a month for like, Premier VPN. It's a very good deal. So definitely check that out. Supports the show, support yourself. And supports my cheese addiction.
I didn't know you had a cheese addiction.
Oh, do you not know this? Like, one thing that I've often thought to myself is like, if this video game blogging thing doesn't work out, I want to become a cheese reviewer. I want to start a cheese, like a really good
You want to review
high-end
cheese?
Dude, I love cheese. We never talked about cheese.
I
but I find
mean, look, I like me some cheese too, like American cheese. Like there's some good cheeses, but
bro,
I don't know if I like cheese that much.
German, like Americans don't know cheese. I'm sorry. I like this will be controversial, but Americans don't know cheese. Americans don't know shit about cheese.
Don't know cheese. Okay.
American cheese it's not real cheese, bro. It's not real cheese. The only place you can really get cheese is Europe and everywhere else, but not America, bro. America don't know cheese. I'm sorry, bro.
Okay.
I'm sorry, bro.
I guess you
I will show you. I will show you
take the crown, and you know.
Americans put cheese in a can, bro. That's like.
I mean, cheese in a can's pretty good. You put it on some
No,
crackers, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That's not how cheese works, dude. Not how cheese works. I had some nice gorgonzola earlier. And some gorgonzola.
Gorgonzola. What a word. What a great word that is. You ever just
and also some,
I couldn't even tell you when the last time I've heard the word gorgonzola was. It's been years. But when you hear that word, you immediately know it's cheese. Like, seriously, I probably have heard the word gorgonzola 10, 12, 15 years ago, but I still remember. It's just a word that like sticks out to you. It's like, damn, that's a great word. Gorgonzola.
Gorgonzola, yeah, it's fantastic.
But then you think about it, it's like, oh, dude, like it's just like a cheese, and it's sort of like, oh, that's pretty sad. Cheese? Such an amazing word, and all it really means is cheese. Like God.
It's gorgonzola is fantastic, but I got a nice brie in the fridge, some camembert. I've also got some. You also like
take some wine out.
Yeah, cheese and wine. Yeah,
cheese and wine. There you go.
Cheese and wine. Play some games. Fantastic. That's heaven right there, bro. That's heaven, bro.
I mean, I guess so. I guess so. We also have the wonderful members of our Patreon, patreon.com/XB2, where you can drop us a line, question and answer thread. I believe is up if Jez has done his job properly.
Yeah,
it's up. So drop us a line. We'll see what you got to say. And we got the shout outs here. I think we'll probably be doing another Xbox Ultimate or Xbox 2+1 later in the month.
Oh no, actually, I do have a Xbox 2 guest slated for tomorrow. I didn't tell you about this.
Oh, so we're doing a show tomorrow?
Yeah, if you can make it. Hopefully, if things work out, we're gonna be talking to Sunny Games, who is on the State of Decay council, and he did like one of the first looks of State of Decay 3. So I thought, get him on the show, talk half an hour about State of Decay. If you
that sounds good. I don't know anything about State of Decay, so you might be rolling solo with that one. I also think I have to do a podcast tomorrow with somebody, but I did see something about State of Decay. I think it was one of the creators of the thing. There's like when that trailer came out in 2020, nobody was even working on the game, and the whole like deer, like the undead fauna is not going to be in the game. Real.
Yeah,
it's like, really what are we doing? Who made this decision? Who made this?
This is like, I think like that whole show with all the CGI trailers, and that was such a terrible
retrospect
decision.
that ended up being an awful show. Like considering it's kind of
none of it was real.
It's kind of similar to, I forget what year it was, but it was when they had the trailers for Phantom Dust and Scalebound, because it was like Phantom Dust ended up getting canceled, or ended up being not, because we did end up getting like a remaster of Phantom Dust, but that's not what it was supposed to be. And then like
that's not what Miles on PA wanted.
Yeah, that's not what Miles wanted. And then obviously we know the whole sordid history of Scalebound, and it was like, oh man, hopefully Xbox learned their lesson about revealing stuff too early, because games end up getting canceled. Like, and we've seen this from this generation Like, it's not
Perfect
just
thought.
Xbox canceling games. I mean, PlayStation has also canceled a ton of games. But Xbox, are the ones like revealing things. So like when you go back to 2020, it's like, man, Fable was revealed in 2020 and it's still not out yet. Like State of Decay 3 was revealed in 2020 and it's still not out yet. Everwild was, I think, revealed the year before and ended up getting canceled. And I think, like, I'm trying to remember what other stuff was there, but it was just like, you're looking back at it like, man, what a bad show that ended up being. Or, like all those games taking all that time. It's like, and we still haven't gotten everything from that show to be released yet. But anyways, the brief aside, patreon.com/XB2 is the place to be. Do you still have a sale running on it? Like 50% off or whatever?
I don't, but I'm going
Okay.
to put one up right now.
There you go. 50%
I
off
did,
if you want
I
to.
did want to put
If
one
you
up,
want to
yeah.
join. And we have the shout outs here for the Xbox 2 MVPs. We have Adam Bartolo, Alaron Grogu, Asa T and Madison, Battered Haddock, Briggs Country, Bright Tundra 1, Silas, Discarded Caboose, Enix, Fantasticals, Glenn, Governor Grimm, I'm Mike Zero, Inner Machine, Jay Foley, James Moore, James Wiseau, Justin Duel, Katrox, Laserwolf, Murray, Pat Rock, Frosty, RS Donk, Sean Kramer, Shea Elephant, Shrapnel, The Nordic Cannon, Trixar for Trey, Wagerman, and Wolfgang KPZ. Thank you guys, and appreciate all you for supporting me and Jez on the Xbox 2. So, all right, Jez.
Yeah, and there is now a 50% off thingamabob rocking up there.
All right. So, where do we want to begin with? Well, I think we'll talk about some of the things that you mentioned in your solo show, or maybe it wasn't your solo show. Did you say something about like an Xbox show happening this week? Is that something that
I did. I said it on
you
Gaz's
divine
show.
from the tea leaves, wink, wink, kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. I said that on Gaz's show because I did a show with Gaz on Saturday, and
Wait, you did a show with Gaz?
Yeah, I did a show with Gaz.
Oh,
and I'm doing Defining Duke as well this week, so I'm on it. I'm on it, bro. I'm over here this week.
Did Gaz want you on because of the old parasocialness, bro? What's going on? Parasocial?
Nah, I was supposed to do a show with Gaz last week, but I couldn't because it was my 13-year anniversary with my missus. And
How many years? Excuse me? Did you say that number again?
Years.
How many years?
13, bro.
13. Like, okay, listen. Maybe I'm not one to be talking about relationships here. Okay, I'm not in a relationship. I'm like the longest relationship I've been in was maybe like 2 years or whatever. But now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, normally, if you're in a relationship for, I don't know, like 5 years and you haven't proposed yet, most women are like, hey, this guy's never going to propose. I need to cut bait and find somebody else. Which, fair enough, if it's like you want to start a family and all those sort of things. I get it. We're not getting more time, right? It's like, you got to hit while the iron's hot, so to speak. Now a decade, it's like, whoa. Now you're saying 13 years? Like,
yeah, bro.
What
we have is deeper than a piece of paper, bro.
I mean, fair enough. Shout out to you for keeping her for 13 years without having to put a ring on her finger. I mean, I guess you could say that's sort of impressive.
Well, I'm an impressive kind of guy, I guess. But
I just sort of wonder if anybody's in chat like, hey, 13 years. If you dated your girlfriend for 13 years, you moved in together and everything, but you didn't like marry her, would that have flown? I don't know, man. This is 13 years. How old are you? 45, 46?
39, bro. I'm in my 30s. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you've been with her since like what, 26?
Yeah, something like that. God damn, that's a long time.
Jeez, you basically.
But yeah, it's,
okay.
Yeah.
So how old is she? Like 20?
What the fuck? You think I'm like Epstein over here? But
I mean, I heard you do on vacations to islands here and there, so.
I did go to Okinawa. That's true, and Okinawa is an island. but it's a pretty big island, I guess. But nah, man. Anyways, I was on with Gaz and we, shooting the shit a bit. And I did mention that I'd heard Xbox might have a little show this week of some kind. Although I'll be completely honest, I wasn't really fully aware of the scope of this show
Doesn't really seem like it's
until
a show in the vein that we've always known Xbox shows, like an ID at Xbox show or a
yeah,
partner preview show or a showcase or a dev direct. This is
yes.
essentially Xbox branching out into a new type of show because this is a Xbox Presents. Now we've heard about it before because
Xbox First Look. I think they're
Xbox, is that what
calling
it's
it.
called? Xbox First Look?
Yeah, Xbox First Look is what they're calling it.
Because we first heard about it with the last partner preview with Stranger Than Heaven, where they showed it off and they said, hey, they have like a first look thing in like I think it was May.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
And
When I was reporting on this, I was like, oh yeah, it's a brand new thing we've never heard of, and it's like, oh shit, actually, they've already announced it.
yeah, they're already
Oh
doing
well,
one, but
cool.
this would be like the first one. Xbox
Yeah, this will
Presents
be
or
the first one.
whatever the terminology is for in my opinion, a highly anticipated game because I love the Metro games and it's been.
Yeah,
I was
games
thinking
are
about
amazing.
it. It's been 7 years since Metro Last Light.
7 years?
7 years.
Jeez.
Well, I mean, they did apparently scrap Metro 4 because I guess that leaked a few days ago or something. Or like they were working on that game and then they completely scrapped it and I guess it got uploaded or something. So I mean that might be one of the because they got bought by Embracer back when everybody
Yeah.
was buying everybody, which hasn't really turned out great for the industry.
No.
So yeah, so it's like there's Metro 2033, Metro 2034, and then Metro Last Light. So this is Metro 2039. And I'm quite excited to get a first look at this game because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the Metro games. So I'm very, very interested in seeing how this one what do they do for the franchise? Where do they
Well,
go from Last Light and what new
I
things
saw
do
some.
they add and stuff?
Yeah.
Is it
I did
coming
see
out
some
this
like.
year? You figure if it's like as a first look, does that mean it's releasing later this year?
Mm,
Type of thing, you know what I mean? Go ahead.
maybe. I suppose we won't know for sure until later on, but I did hear like first of all it's Xbox Play Anywhere, which is nice. I suppose like Microsoft's kind of using its publishing team, Tina Amini, to promote like other people's games, and also I suppose like part of that clout is being like, well, if you throw in Xbox Play Anywhere support for your game, we'll also throw our clout behind it and showcase the game, and we'll handle all the production and take that marketing effort out of your hands, to help out and whatever. Like you help us and we'll help you, kind of thing, right? Is what I imagine. Like some of that's going down, because as we know, like Microsoft like isn't really winning Xbox Play Anywhere support organically. Generally speaking, there's a few devs that are supporting it organically, but for the most part, Xbox Play Anywhere seems to arrive as a result of a Game Pass deal, marketing deal, that kind of stuff. So, as someone who uses Xbox Play Anywhere, I ain't complaining about how they get it as long as they get it. So, bring it on. I like that shit. Bring more stuff for my Xbox Ally. I'm very happy about that. But I was reading some people who are more in tune with the books, because obviously the Metro games were inspired by a book series. Have you read them, Rand? Read the
I
books?
mean, I know of the book series, but I have not read the book series. No.
Damn, a book Rand hasn't read.
I mean, there's
Well,
plenty of books that I've never read. There's
really?
just so many books and there's no time. Not to mention video games and TVs.
There's
and
more than
movies.
100 books?
Bro, there's so many books. There's more books than video games.
No way.
Yeah, more books than movies.
Ain't no way. Well, I suppose now with ChatGPT, right? Have you ever read a ChatGPT written book?
I mean, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure I haven't.
It's probably going to happen at some point. You won't even realize it.
No. I mean,
That's the scary thing.
I guess it's certainly possible, but there's always telltale marks of that. Like, I'm very like, I don't know. Like a lot of the books I have are a little bit older. Like not older in the sense of like, oh, they're old, like 1980, but written before
The Bible.
ChatGPT existed or AI could write books. But there definitely are people who use it to. I mean, I saw something where some lady was like, "I'll teach you how to use AI to write books. I've published 250 books the last year," and it's like she releases these books and sells like 50 copies of each book, but she releases 250
So
books.
many that.
Yeah, it's kind of like absurd. And ridiculous, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing is, like, AI is going to train on all the different models and all the different books that exist, but the majority of books, like, since there's so many of them, are just mediocre. So, like, the output that ChatGPT would probably present would just be mediocre. I mean, yeah, you're going to have some amazing books, but, like, I think, like, the vast majority of human written books is just of the it's all right, nothing special, you know. So,
but people who are aware of the books, they were saying like the title kind of implies that it's going back to Russia, like the metro system, because Exodus took it outside, right? And that maybe it wouldn't be Artyom, it might be someone else.
oh
But
shit, I forgot about Exodus. It was Metro 2033, 2034, then Last Light, then Exodus. My bad. So Exodus was was 7 years ago.
So yeah, I don't fully know if I don't know how accurate some of that stuff is. I'm certainly not a Metro lore guy. I played all the games, but it's been a hot minute. But yeah, Metro's fantastic. I was kind of hoping Stalker would scratch that itch for me a little bit. And obviously they're very, very, very different games.
I mean, they're very different.
They are very different, but the kind of vibe. But I think I always preferred Metro's kind of like tighter, kind of semi-linear kind of experience, I suppose you could call it. Because it's especially Last Light, like not what you could describe as fully linear, I would say. It's sort of somewhere in the middle, and especially Exodus kind of went for the sort of hub kind of format, which I think resulted in mixed results, I would say personally. But I don't know. Metro is a fantastic franchise in any case, and I'm looking forward to the next one. And we'll see how it goes.
Be interesting to
I'm looking forward to the show. It's going to be on Thursday, right? 16th.
I think so. It'd be interesting to see how this whole Xbox, what are they calling it? Xbox Presents or Xbox First Look, right?
Xbox First Look. Xbox First Look.
How they present that in, like, because Dev Direct is certainly different than the showcase, which is certainly different than the partner preview stuff. Like, how do they put their mark on this? I mean, I think it's cool they're doing more shows, and I think a new Metro game is a good first game to kind of, because let's be honest, like when you do like a first look of this, it has to be a game of some significance. It can't just be some random fucking game that nobody's ever really heard of. So, and Metro is a game that is quite anticipated. So it's pretty cool that you could pull off something like this. And even like Stranger Than Heaven, like I think it's the Yakuza Studios next game.
Yeah. That looks fantastic.
That's another one where it's like, it's got some prestige. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Is like, if you're going to do a first look at these games, it's got to be prestige in some manner. Like a new upcoming game from a studio that has, like the Yakuza studio, or an anticipated game that's been like 6 or 7 years. You can't just be like, well, here's this random indie game we found on the street begging for some clout and some attention. You know what I mean? You got to keep it where it's like, it's got to be where people want to tune in to watch. And I think like Metro's a very good first like case study, because I do think people are very interested in seeing, hey, what have you been doing for so long? And I think people will tune in, same reason they would tune in for Stranger Than Heaven. So I'm very curious, not only like how it's presented and how much gameplay and stuff we see, and if it's coming out this year, but where do you go from here? Like if you're, Xbox and you do this one and then Stranger Than Heaven, because it seems like they're doing a show this month and then the show next month, and then they'll have the showcase. Are you going to get more first looks later in the year?
That's
So
what I've heard.
we
That's
would
what I've
have
heard,
like,
bro.
hey, an Xbox first look in July, an Xbox first look in, and I mean, there's not there. There's only so many like new games you could really do that for.
I think like one of the pitfalls they potentially need to avoid is like similarly to what what's his name? Jeff Keighley.
Jeff Keighley,
Like
yes,
Jeff Keighley, like by association with the Game Awards, I kind of feel like I can't even remember the name now of the game. High God, was it?
High
The one
Guard,
that got hyped
yes.
up? Yeah. So like by association with the Game Awards, High God kind of got overhyped.
Oh, yeah,
And I think
very
like
true.
sometimes like the platform can be I don't know, lead to mismanaged expectations. I think just by association with Xbox. So I think like a game like the Yakuza Studios game, I can't remember the name off the
Stranger
top of
Than
my head.
Heaven.
Stranger Than Heaven. With Stranger Than Heaven and also Metro, those are the kind of like big games that I think um produce the kind of hype that you can associate safely with the Xbox brand. But can you imagine if like they did a first look and it was like I don't know, a weird kind of indie, colorful, puzzly kind of game or something, and people were kind of salty about it, and it kind of come off, and it could come off as negative, you know. So, I mean, do you know? Do it make sense?
No,
Do you know what I'm
I
getting at?
mean, yeah, I 100% know exactly
People,
what you're talking
people
about.
might, yeah, people might be salty about it if it's the wrong kind of game for the show. I don't know, but Um, I do think they are going to do some more of these throughout the year. I would assume that like if there are like some maybe smaller games, those would stay in like an idea Xbox kind of showcase because um a lot of these games that are going like direct to digital nowadays, they are actually handled by idea Xbox team, even though they're coming from a like larger publisher. Like from what I've heard, is Idea Xbox now handles a lot of the direct to digital publishing stuff as well for Xbox. Like it's vastly expanded its role over the years because it's been pretty damn successful to be fair. So yeah, I don't know. Windowed Box 2901 says, Jez, no day one Game Pass for Metro 2039. I'm not 100% on that. It's looking like a no right now, but we won't know for sure until the show itself. So I suppose wait and
Yes,
see on that.
I'm trying to think if any. I mean, I think the Metro games were in Game Pass at one point.
Yeah, they were.
But I'm not
Um,
sure if Exodus launched in there. I don't think it did.
I imagine they'll probably put them in. They'll probably do what Resident Evil did. Put Resident Evil 8 in there before Resident Evil 9 launches.
yeah.
They'll probably put Metro Exodus in there before the next one launches. If I had to guess, but
What do
I
you
don't know.
think?
We'll find out on
Do you
Thursday.
think it releases this year? Is this, or are we looking at like this time next year essentially?
Personally, I think like if it was gonna launch next year, that could be something you put in the main Xbox showcase in June.
Yeah.
But maybe they thought like maybe they want to recruit or they thought it was going to leak or something like that. Well, it did leak, but you know maybe they just thought we need to get this public now. We can't wait till June. I don't know. There's probably lots of factors going into why they decided to do it now. But I don't want to guess whether it's coming out this year or not. I mean, I would personally hope so. Because there ain't a lot this year that I'm particularly hugely looking forward to. I mean, there's the Diablo expansion. Pragmata just came out. I need to
Which
start
got
playing that.
pretty good reviews. Pretty good reviews.
Yeah,
I think
it
higher
did.
than
Yeah,
most people expected. I think.
yeah.
Capcom's just
It
on a
seems
roll,
like,
bro. They've been killing it these last few years, man. They're
dude.
absolutely
If
probably the best publisher out there these days.
I would agree. If Capcom can land the Monster Hunter expansion and say and like fix the game,
And
and also if like
Onimusha.
the rumored Onimusha, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
I played that twice. Fucking amazing.
Yep,
Like
yep, yep,
what I
yep.
played of it.
And then
They
the, like,
land that, and then they land and then this rumored Dragon's Dogma DLC. Like maybe
mm-hmm.
that fixes Dragon's
But
Dogma
then
as
early
well.
next year they're gonna have Code Veronica.
Like they're on a tear, man.
Yeah,
They are
like
on a
there's a new
tear.
Mega Man that's coming. I don't think it's this year or whatever, but I think it's next year. But I mean,
All they need to do now is
they're on
announce.
fire.
Yeah, they are. Announce Breath of the Wild, Breath of Fire remasters or remakes. and then a new and revive that back from the dead, and then also bring back Lost Planet, and then also Dino
Dino
Crisis, and then
Crisis,
boom,
yeah. If you
the
had to choose
best ever in the
between
history
bringing
of
back
time.
Dino Crisis and bringing back Lost Planet, but you can only choose one and the other just never comes back, which one would you choose?
Oh, Dino Crisis, man,
Yeah, we don't
it's
need Lost
quite an
Planet.
easy pick.
Dino Crisis is back,
I
baby.
do. I always thought Lost Planet never really achieved its full potential. I was always thinking like this could be Capcom's sci-fi Monster Hunter. That's kind of how I always viewed it. But if I Dino Crisis, man, has a special place in my heart, bro. Dino Crisis 1 and 2. A lot of people didn't like 2 so much because it was a bit more action oriented. But I kind of feel like some of the shit they learned from Dino Crisis 2 ended up in Resident Evil 4, definitely, I would say. And I
Yeah.
think like with what they know now, they could remake Dino Crisis 2 and, achieve a better balance between action and survival horror. But Dino Crisis 2 has some scary sections, man. Do you remember in Dino Crisis 2 the plesiosaur section underwater? That shit
No,
was crazy, man.
not really. But
Yeah,
I'm sure they're looking
it
at
was a long
like,
time ago.
you know what?
That
We'll
haunts me, bro.
probably make more money just doing all the Resident Evil remakes than we would bringing back like a Dino Crisis game.
Yeah, but they're gonna run out of Resident Evil games to remake eventually. You
You
know,
think that, but considering how long everything takes, once they remake Code Veronica and then they remake, Resident Evil Zero,
they start remaking the
and then it's
remakes.
like then they remake Resident Evil Remake One, and then like
That needs a remake.
there's even talk like I think I saw like they're thinking about remaking Resident Evil Revelations.
No,
And then it's like,
I
oh
wouldn't
well,
believe it.
let's do Resident remake because by that point, if you're in the 2030s, you might as well remake Resident Evil 5, and then you might as well remake Resident Evil 6, and why not go all the way back and just remake a Resident Evil Outbreak or whatever, and then you can start the whole thing over. Guess what? We're making Resident Evil 2. It's 2048. We're making Resident Evil 2. You know?
Oh, broski. I mean, maybe. I mean, Resident Evil 1, I would argue, does need a remake now. It came out on the GameCube. It's aged pretty well, but I wouldn't say no to a remake of that remake. But come on, there's got to
You
be
can
some room
remake
for
like
Dino Crisis.
Resident Evil 7. Like
I don't think we don't need Revelations remakes. And
probably not.
I mean, if they're gonna do 5, I would want them to like really, I don't know, explore changing it a bit because it was kind of lame. Even though weirdly, it's one that I played the most. And it's like at the time, I don't know if I don't know what it was. If it was like just the good launch window or something, but me and my brother played that a lot. Did all the co-op missions and did all the, like until to the point where you've got like infinite rocket launcher and stuff. We played that game a lot, even though I didn't like it very much, which is probably like weird, but just because it was like online or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. If they do Resident Evil 6 and 7, 5 and 6, they need to consider tweaking the story delivery a bit, I would say. But I don't know. I just want Dino Crisis back, man.
Yes.
But I also want Breath of Fire back too. Like Breath of Fire is, I think like the original, like Breath of Fire 3 and 4 are as good as the best Final Fantasy games. If you've never played them, they are so good. And they just released Breath of Fire 4 on Steam. Like re-released the old version, the PS1 version. Fantastic games, man. Absolutely fantastic. You can turn into a dragon, bro. What's not to like?
All right. So,
Yeah. Super
uh,
chats?
well, let's talk about I don't know. Let's talk about one of the things that you mentioned this past weekend, which I think ties into a lot. So this might be a long section. You
Well, maybe we should
mentioned
get super chats before we do
okay,
that then.
okay. Well, I'll grab some then. Hold on 1 second. Okay. We have Onyx Gaming who says, Jez, I hope I can meet you at BlizzCon. Rand, if you like sci-fi, you need to read the StarCraft books as soon as possible. You'd be surprised how good they are. Salute. I mean, I got so many books to read. I got hundreds, probably maybe even 200 books on my TBR.
Thousands.
I got so many. Like, I get it. Like, StarCraft books might be cool, but I got so many like books that I need to read. They're making like a special like hardcover thing of the first 3 Halo books coming out at the end of the year. I actually have that pre-ordered. I've never read a Halo book. but like it actually looks really nice, and I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'll just get this to have it. Maybe I would, because I'm thinking, because I'm the type of person, like, if I start a series, I'm reading the series. And Halo has, like, I don't know, 30 books or whatever it is. So it's
So
one of those
long.
things, like, would I really just read, Fall of Reach and whatever the second and third book is, and then, like, stop there or continue on? But it is a very nice physical edition. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I might get this.
Yeah,
But StarCraft, I mean, Jez, I mean, you're reading like World of Warcraft.
I am. I've the only books I've read in the last like literal 10 years are the Warcraft books, and it's not for the right reasons, bro. It's
Yeah.
like I wrote an article about this last week. Like the way Warcraft story delivery in game is like so bad. Like I'm so desperate to not hate it, and I buy the books to try and find some extra context. And it does help. Like I read the Shadowlands book, for example, and Shadowlands was notoriously bad expansion. And the book was like, oh, okay, there's some extra context here. So that's why. That is the real reason why I got the Warcraft book, because I'm desperate. I'm desperate for some context, because the current story delivery has not been good. It's not been good, bro. People are
Mm.
pissed. YouTubers are pissed. They're pissed, bro. Everyone's pissed.
I mean, couldn't have
Yep.
happened to a better franchise. It's like what I told you before. Couldn't have happened to a
Ah,
better game and a better franchise.
damn.
Yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Let's see here. Yeah, Spitfire Spud says, great week this week. We got Mouse PI, Replace, Pragmata, new Metro reveal, possibly Assassin's Creed Black Flag news. Yeah, supposedly that's supposed to be announced this week as well.
Yeah, me
And
and
a
Gaz
new
talked a little bit about that.
and a new Xbox show. How you lads doing? Well, the new Xbox show is the Metro reveal, so they're one and the same.
Yeah, that's true.
We're doing pretty good. Doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good as well. For once.
Pure Shooter says, shout out to Jess for holding it down solo on Friday. Also, hypothetically, will all Play Anywhere games get an automatic upgrade when we can default to the PC versions of on Project Helix?
Now, I imagine the way that's going to work is via Xbox Smart Delivery. So, one of the things that the Xbox Ally has right now is the kind of like, oh, what do they call it now? I can't remember what they call it, but it kind of like, it gives you an optimized version for the Xbox Ally X. And I kind of feel like this is the early work they're doing for this scenario describing, where which version of the game am I going to get on Helix, and will it give me default settings and all that kind of stuff. So I think that's the early work being done to facilitate that situation. So yeah, it's in essence on Helix you will get the best version, and in theory, if the developers provide the specs, or I think Xbox said that even they're going to provide the specs, and devs won't have to lift a finger. So like in theory, you'll download a game on Helix as you would on your current Xbox, and you'll get the best version of it. And then moving forward, eventually there'll be like Helix native versions and that kind of stuff. And this is why like I'm really glad they got the Xbox Ally range out when they did, because you've seen all the bugs we get in with the Xbox Ally. Those are shit that we're having to beta test as Xbox Ally users to stop them appearing in Helix. Can you imagine if they've basically gone in blind with Helix and there was all these bugs with it? So yeah, Xbox Ally is the beta test for this shit. Hopefully it will just work. That's the big question mark, isn't it?
Yeah. Hopefully. Gunny says, if Felix can run Steam, what are the incentives to buy from the Xbox platform? They have rewards, but buying Steam keys usually saves more money. Plus, Xbox Play Anywhere wouldn't really matter besides back compat. I mean, I guess that's the question. If you have a device that has Steam on it, what incentives do people to have to buy from an Xbox store when you can potentially get the PC versions for cheaper and have a wider catalog of games, but also like play multiplayer for free because, assuming as if it happened right now, like you still have to pay for multiplayer on the Xbox platform. And that's the question. Is Game Pass enough? Is Xbox Play Anywhere enough? Or,
Well,
the things they're doing enough? Or are PC players even really going to be interested in the device in the first place? Is it just going to be like hardcore Xbox fans being like, I want my games and the back and pat stuff and achievements and all those sort of things that wouldn't be on Steam versions, your guess is as good as mine.
Well, I think literally things like smart delivery will hopefully like give Xbox an edge there, because it's not like the Steam version would automatically give you the settings. Like if you still want to have that lazy console experience, Xbox potentially is going to be still a better experience. And although we're going to talk about Game Pass in a minute, Game Pass will exist on there too, and first party games, except for COD maybe, will still be available in Game Pass maybe. So I mean that's really a question for Microsoft to answer. Like, what will the incentives be? And this is something we're gonna have to keep an eye on as a community, I suppose. But stuff like smart delivery, you know, embedded features, community features, Xbox achievements, your existing library. I mean, and also making sure there's price parity with Steam too. I mean, maybe even Xbox, like when they're competing more directly, Xbox can be like, well, now we're competing directly with Steam on our own device. Maybe we need to undercut Steam on the prices for some of these things. Because one thing you have to remember, um, Xbox gives developers a better cut on PC than Steam does. So in theory, the game should be cheaper on Xbox. You know, um, in a perfect world, the devs wouldn't pocket that extra money; they'd pass the saving on to consumers.
That'll
But
never happen. I mean,
that's obviously not
games
gonna.
are also cheaper on the I mean, the cut for developers on the Epic Store is also way more than it is on Steam, and it's like,
Yeah, but it's an incentive to actually come to the platform, because otherwise, like, why would they do it? Um, so yeah, I mean, these are questions we're gonna have to just keep looking at.
yep,
But like, I'm someone who's I've got a gaming PC, I've got an Xbox Ally. Both of these devices have Steam on it, but I still primarily use the Xbox Store just because that's the ecosystem I'm currently in, and I see no real reason to switch. I mean, I'll play Steam games when they're not available on Xbox Store if I really want to. Like Mugenics, for example, I was playing that on Steam. I bought that on Steam because it wasn't available on Xbox. But you know, I'll probably buy it again when it comes to Xbox, because I just want it in the Xbox ecosystem that I've been primarily using for 20 years now. So I don't really see personally a reason to switch, but many people will, and it's on Xbox to really figure out what to do in that situation, I suppose.
yep. That's something we've talked about quite a bit. Mr. Supernova
Oh,
says,
hang on. One final point on this, by the way.
okay,
Um, Overwatch is on Steam, but it's still more popular on Battle.net. So some people the people are often creatures of habit. And even
that
though like Overwatch is on Steam,
yeah, but I
with all
mean,
the same shit,
that
people still play more on
true,
Battle.net.
but that's also like Overwatch was where the game, like, it was on BattleNet way years before it ever came to Steam,
Yeah, but you
right?
can just log in with your Battle.net on Steam and do it that way, but
Sure.
people don't.
I mean, I think it's like a force of habit type of thing.
Yeah, and it'll be a force of habit
Do
situation
do
here.
more
I would
people
say
play Call
even
of
more so
Duty
for you.
on BattleNet than they do on Steam?
That's what I've heard too. Yeah.
So I think it's just that thing of like that's what it always was, and then they eventually came to Steam, but you can't help people's
Can't change people's habits.
yeah,
You know.
their habits. So we have Mr. Supernova who says, "How is Asha going to convince people to buy the next Xbox when Forza, Halo, Gears, and Elder Scrolls are on all platforms, while Xbox owners don't get Wolverine, God of War, Saros, Mario, and Zelda?" I mean, there's the
Good question.
exclusive question again about. See, it's it's a tough thing to answer, because you would, if you say what is the reason for people to buy an Xbox now or to buy a Project Helix, you'd be looking at it like, well, Project Helix for the really hardcore fans, the ones who have thousands of games in their digital libraries who want those to move forward with them, right? Uh, the ones that are essentially like Jez Jez said himself, like he'd rather play on the Xbox ecosystem. It's something he's doing for 20 years. And there's plenty of people listening to this podcast and plenty of people who, out there who have a long list of games that they bought on Xbox, ranging from the Xbox Series to the Xbox One to their 360 and OG Xbox games. And it's like the Helix will be a way to bring those forward so you don't necessarily lose out on those games at all. So the Helix would essentially be like for the super hardcore like Xbox fan who is looking for the next step up in like, hey, this is the next console, quote unquote. All the improvements that you would have, but I think mostly is like, okay, this is a really powerful device that I'm also paying a premium for, and it has everything I want on it. Now, if you go out to the broader range of how do you convince new people or lapsed owners of people that might have been with Xbox who decided to switch to PlayStation, or hey, how do you get Switch owners to buy a Helix, or how do you get this Gen Alpha or these other people, or maybe someone who played on the 360 but since then hasn't, like how do you get them and convince them to buy Helix when Mario's not there and God of War's not there and Soros is there, but then also Xbox's games are on those other platforms, and it's like, well, that's a little bit tougher sell. And honestly, like, I honestly don't know the answer to that question.
I think the answer is that in the current regime, without exclusives, I think they just have to accept that it's not going to be mass market device. It's going to be a niche device for people who are still on Xbox, are still passionate about Xbox, and still want to, retain their libraries. And as long as they don't overstock it and they price it like appropriately, they can still have a potentially profitable hardware business without trying to gun for a mass market audience. But if they do want it to be mass market, then they kind of need the exclusive content, exclusive features, and the hype and the memes and the culture and all the rest of it, like that hardware devices kind of demand to have. Like if you're launching like an iPhone and shit like that and that kind of stuff, it's usually like there's usually a huge marketing effort behind it, and and all the rest of it. I suppose like it's a bit different nowadays with Apple being pretty, like we were talking about earlier, people are creatures of habit. But in the old days, back when there was competition in the smartphone space, there was like a concerted effort to actually, acquire users. Maybe console gaming has just reached that point where people are just so habitual with it now and they won't switch. And that's where Xbox is at now, kind of thing, and the other platforms too. But I suppose we'll see. I mean, one of the ways they could sell it is by the way, we've dropping the paywall for multiplayer. That would be a pretty powerful exclusive without having an exclusive. And then whatever other features they can kind of come up with. Hey, we're the only console that has console games and Steam games.
Sure.
That's another pretty powerful feature. So it's about how that's positioned. Does it resonate with people outside of the Xbox ecosystem? Because, do I personally care that much about Steam on the box? I mean, it's kind of cool, but I also don't care that much about it personally. But I don't know how the kids think, What does the youth think about this? Because that's really, I kind of like the future of the industry has to be like looking at those younger audiences, the people in their 20s and teens even, How do you make the console cool to that cohort? How do you make them develop habits around Xbox? I do not have the answer. And if I did, maybe I should be employed by Microsoft. I have no idea.
Some people say you already are, Jez.
Yeah, I wish.
Yeah. But nice getting that Microsoft check every week? Every 2 weeks or whatever it be? Shit.
That's the stock I want, man.
Shit. You'd already have married your girlfriend if that was the case.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a good question, and I mean, Asha. I mean, like we can dive into it sort of right now. There's a couple things here that tie into one another. One being like, hey, I think you mentioned this on Friday. The 30% profit margin is gone, which was something that, when discussing the future of Xbox and what they might do with or without, with the exclusive situation, and what could Asha really do if she's like hamstrung by, internally being like, hey, you need to hit these metrics. Because we were like, well, what are they going to do? Like, if the 30% profit margin is still there, like you can't subsidize any hardware to to such a degree where you can hit a mass market price. You kind of need to still release your software everywhere because you need the revenue and stuff. So it's like that sort of like is like kind of the scythe hanging above the head, where it's like, well, you can say you want to change things all you want, but the money situation says differently, right? But you
Yeah.
reported that might be gone, or is gone, or has been changed, or is no longer
Yeah.
a thing.
The margin
So
pressure is off, and when I first initially said that, it was like something I'd heard, but now like I've investigated more, and it's something I know now.
okay,
So, I don't know. I mean, obviously they still have to be profitable,
sure,
but like
of course. I mean,
the
but I think they were always
pressure has been,
profitable. I think so.
yeah,
Don't think they were profitable at the levels that Microsoft wants their divisions to be at, right? So
yeah, yeah, yeah. But they've moved away from that margin pressure, and they're back in a sort of like we need to invest growth kind of phase and compete more, you know. So that should give Asher a lot more breathing room than Phil and Sarah had, frankly.
but then that's the other question
Um,
I have. So, like, what changed to the point of, Phil and Sarah were doing the things that they did. They acquire ABK and Bethesda. They make these decisions partially because, like, hey, we want to hit these targets, and things were going how they were going. And then, okay, Phil's gone, Sarah's gone, new person's in charge, and then they, instead of having to work with the same limitations that Phil and Sarah had to work with, like they're lifted. Did the data? We always say Microsoft is a very data driven company, right? With their Excel sheets and everything, where they sometimes it's not. It's sometimes it feels like it's not a human making a decision. It's just basically a spreadsheet making
a
decisions, being
spreadsheet,
like
yeah.
money in, money out, and all that sort of stuff.
Yep, yep, yep.
Did all the now? Remember when they initially went multi-platform, they said it was a test. Like,
Yeah.
has there been enough data gotten back from everything that's happened, from like how much things have sold on PlayStation? Like, I don't know about you, but the Starfield DLC's out, but all I see about Starfield is how ass it is on PlayStation right now. Or even it's like it's
Doesn't
not
run well.
performing well, like even on Xbox right now. But apparently it's got a huge host of problems on PlayStation. Is that which it's sort of like, is this
Is that the
what you
experience?
wanted? Like, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah.
As a turn of phrase, but like, so now Asha's in here, and remember, because initially you had people like Seamus Blackley and a couple others being like, she's in here to essentially what, wind down the brand,
Wind down the
to kind of
business.
like
Yeah.
euthanize
Completely
it, but over like
opposite,
a period of time where it was basically just like, oh, it's dead, and she's just there to kind of lord over the corpse, so to speak. But if you're removing the profit margin that was such a stickler for everything, it doesn't necessarily seem like, okay, well, the brand's she's there to oversee the death of Xbox, because if that was the case, you would imagine it would stick around. So I guess the question I have is like, okay, well, what changes will accompany this if they don't have to adhere to that profit margin? And two, why was she given the leeway of this when Phil and Sarah weren't? Is it just because, hey, we got all the information back that we needed, and we made some mistakes, so we need to pull back on this type of stuff? You know what I mean?
I mean, I have no idea how Microsoft.
So your guess would be as good as mine, essentially. Like, we don't.
I mean, the thing is, this isn't just in a vacuum either. Like I said on the show, this is happening in Windows as well. And I think really what we're seeing is Microsoft sort of looking at the state of their business all up and just being like, we've really fucked up here. It's not just like Xbox that's lost market share. It's Windows too. Like people are actively trying to make Linux work for themselves, just to desperately get away from Windows by hook or by crook. I don't know if you saw, the French government is ditching Windows for Linux like recently. So it's not just like, although there's a geopolitical angle there rather than just a quality issue. But when you look at things like the new MacBook Neo, which is very, very cheap, that's a huge threat to Windows. Like Windows has historically been the laptop you get on the low end. And now Apple's coming out here with like decent laptops at a low price. This is something they never really bothered to do. That's a huge issue for Microsoft. So they're looking at the whole business all up, and they're probably just like, we've really fucked up here across the whole board. Like these margin pressures that we basically imposed on ourselves, have not just hurt Windows, they've hurt Surface, they've hurt Xbox, they've hurt everything that we do. And Azure's had big security issues as well. And you can only solve security issues basically with money. You know. So I do think the AI fad really got in the way of some of their, rationale to some degree. But like another thing that I can't remember where I read this. I think it was either Bloomberg or one of the businessy kind of news sites. I'm sure I read that like somewhere. I can't remember. It must have been Bloomberg. But someone was reporting that Amy Hood might even be also exploring a replacement at the moment.
Hmm.
So, Amy Hood being Microsoft's CFO, right? So, something had to give, and I think Microsoft realized that they'd fucked up. Satya got a new role, a more product-oriented role. Don't know if you saw. I mentioned that too. Satya is now more focusing on the product side um, than he was before, and there's a new CEO of business operations. I think his name is, or CEO of the commercial business, and his job is basically like to do the boring bits of Satya's job, from what I can tell. And Satya focuses a bit more on the product side and getting the quality back up and all that kind of thing. So now you see Satya like internally wearing an Xbox hoodie, for example. This shit didn't happen before. So I think this is them just sort of trying to fix the catalog of fuck ups over the last couple of years. But we'll see if it actually sticks, right? Because like, while I'm excited on the one hand to get Windows and Xbox feedback is finally important to them again. You know, they're doing Windows Insider program, Windows Insider meetups again, which are like similar to the FanFest kind of thing. They stopped doing them for years, from what I can tell. And it's like they're doing all this shit again. And it's like, well, that's really awesome, but it's only awesome as long as they actually keep it up and follow through with their promises, right? So I'm kind of in a wait and see kind of pattern at the moment.
Hmm. So, okay, the 30% stuff is very interesting. I don't know what that will lead to, or any sort of changes that might come from it. Um, but then the other part of it, I guess, that kind of has some relation to it is you then also reported, which got picked up, that you had heard that Call of Duty. Now, I kind of want you to maybe not necessarily rephrase it, but kind of, because I've heard people speak of like, oh, they're removing Call of Duty from all Game Pass tiers. Like Call of Duty is being removed from Game Pass. But I think what you said was that you had heard that they were talking about the idea of maybe not putting this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4 on Game Pass day one, not necessarily removing all of the Call of Duties from Game Pass, yes?
I mean, I don't know exactly what their plans are for Call of Duty in Game Pass. All I know is that they are actively exploring the whole Game Pass proposition.
Right.
And the fact that Call of Duty being in there is what pushed the price up. It was to protect Call of Duty's business model and basically like, well, if Call of Duty is going to go in Game Pass, then Xbox Game Pass has to pay Call of Duty for those lost sales, and it can't at the current price point. So we're going to have to put the Call of Duty price up, the Game Pass price up, to charge that fee back to the Game Pass fund for the Call of Duty studios, which are monstrously expensive to operate.
I mean, they're like,
right?
yeah, those games, we've seen the reports, they're like $500 million almost to make
They
one of
cost,
those
yeah,
games. They're really,
and
really expensive, which is usually fine if they're really, they sell a shit ton. But like you said, I don't know. There's also the thing of like I think the 3 Call of Duty games that were in, or was it just 2 that were in day one? I think it was Black Ops 6 and this latest one. It was like, well, one of them was really, really good, and the other one was apparently really, really bad, right?
yeah,
Um, so there's that. And I remember we sort of when Asha first took over and we were talking about, okay, what is she gonna do? What changes can she make? We were like, I wouldn't be surprised if we see changes to Game Pass. Because let's be honest, the price hike was not received well at all. I mean, we hated it. it was like you're raising it 50% because, and you're adding what do they add? Like Ubisoft Classics, Fortnite Crew, and it just seemed like, to me, it was like, okay, now I'm paying for other people's enjoyment. Like, I have no use for Fortnite Crew or no use for Ubisoft Classics. I don't want them in here, and I don't want to be the one to have to shoulder the cost. So then other people, I know this kind of sounds mean, but I don't want to like pay for the Fortnite users experience, essentially. I don't want to pay for someone who's like, hey, I wanna play Assassin's Creed on the Ubisoft Classic stuff. It's like, whatever. Like, and we knew, like, no, I mean, we sort of mentioned that I think this is all due to Call of Duty because it, lost a lot of money. Like there was reports that something like it had left like $300 million on the table from lost sales of like the PC version and the Xbox version to put it in Game Pass, but we didn't know how much it made on Game Pass, or how many subscribers it brought in, or any new microtransactions that were bought because of those new players and stuff. Like those sort of things are always kind of in the gray area because those don't really get reported very much, right? So it was just like, man, one of the things that we talked about was like, I think we might see changes to Game Pass. And we went like this thing of like, well, what if they remove some games from Game Pass day one? Because that really seemed like maybe like the big expenditure of money that they were doing. Like, hey, getting these games day one costs a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. So it was like, well, what if they decide to remove their own games from Game Pass? And, we kind of talked about it, and it was like, well, that would sort of kind of be, the almost like a death knell for Game Pass if you did that, right? Like if it was like all of a sudden you promised your own studio's games are going to be in here, and then all of a sudden you're like, actually, no, that would probably turn out, very badly. But now you have like what you're reporting here, which, people had a couple days to talk about it. And I think the sentiment is a lot more positive than negative this time around. I think maybe because people got to experience Call of Duty and Game Pass for 2 years, and maybe they weren't essentially fans of it, and they were like, I don't like this idea of my Game Pass subscription costing this much simply because of this one game. Like, it was fine if Call of Duty was in Game Pass if I was paying $19.99 a month, right? Like, oh, that's great. That's just another game added on to the whole thing. Go Call of Duty, go Xbox. But the fact that now I'm paying $30 a month, and now you don't really care that much about Game Pass, it feels like Call of Duty is the reason why I'm paying more for this, and it maybe not something I want. I would want to play or want to pay for, essentially. Which is odd because when you think about what happened when Xbox spent all that money on Activision Blizzard, and that like a lot of fans were like behind it and like, yeah, Call of Duty is going to be on Game Pass, and then they finally get Call of Duty on Game Pass, and now like a lot of people are pretty much like, yeah, get rid of Call of Duty. Like the one thing that was supposed to happen because of, their whole like FTC trial, the whole stuff against the regulators was, we're going to make Call of Duty cheaper and put it in more places. So we're going to put it on more systems, and we're going to put it in Game Pass so more people have access to it. And it's like they did it for 2 games, and it seems like they're just being like, actually, no, we're not going to do that no more. Like we're not going to put it's, I don't know if there's any legal issues along those lines, if it was something they promised the regulators, and like, is that something they have to adhere to for a long time? Or is it, I'm sure Microsoft legal would be all over that, or whatever, but it was something I was thinking of. But
no, I spoke to people who understand the regulatory landscape, and Microsoft wouldn't have locked themselves into a potentially disastrous business model, but a lot of the regulatory things predicated on delivering it for Nintendo Switch, which, by the way, I hear is coming. So I don't know which Call of Duty is for Nintendo Switch, but they are working on Call of Duty for Nintendo Switch 2, at least. I don't know about 1, but yeah, I think the whole Call of Duty in Game Pass thing just kind of I don't know, it disrupted Call of Duty and it disrupted Game Pass because you gotta remember, like, Game Pass needs monthly content to prevent people from unsubscribing. If you're having to pay all of your content fund out to Call of Duty to keep those studios afloat to make up for the lost sales, you kind of destroy the whole business model. I think only a certain type of game works in Game Pass, and Call of Duty just evidently ain't it. That being said, I wouldn't say no to some kind of modular Game Pass model.
I like that.
Like you say, yeah, modular.
I
Like,
almost
and
felt
I think
that was
um,
unrealistic. Like, there's no way they're gonna let people like pick and choose the sort of things you would want for Game Pass, right? It seemed too pie in the sky type stuff.
I think there's a technical kind of there's a technical overhead there that have to develop a whole system for like entitlements and all that kind of stuff. You know, choose your own package, really, like a cable TV thing. Like, one thing that really bugs me about, used to bug me about the WWE in the UK, is if you wanted to get the WWE, you had to buy the whole sports package, which included like football, Premier League, cricket, you know, golf, and just stuff that I didn't care for. I just wanted the WWE package, but there was no such package, right? And Game Pass Ultimate's kind of the same way now. I don't care about Fortnite Crew. I don't care about Ubisoft Classics. I don't care about all these other perks, and I don't really care about Call of Duty either. I really like the thing I like about Game Pass Ultimate was the higher quality xCloud, and also the first party games that I do want to play, you know. And I don't want to have to pay for Call of Duty and, you know, pay for Fortnite Crew and stuff that I'm not going to use essentially. So I think the best solution for all included would be some kind of modular thing. Like, if it was me, like, I could swap out Call of Duty and put World of Warcraft in there, and then it would be worth the $30 because that's what I would be paying anyway. You know, um, the $20 and the $10 for World of Warcraft, or let me swap out like Call of Duty and put like, you know, Warcraft in there, and Fallout first, or Minecraft Realms, or something else. There's a lot of services that Xbox has that they could like coalesce to let people build their own Game Pass bundle. You know, at $30, that would be worth it for people. I put a poll and around. I don't know if you want to put a poll up on YouTube, and I'll put one up on Spotify as well. I put a poll up on Twitter, which was like, uh, would you
Okay.
want to delete Call of Duty in exchange for a lower price
So
point?
what do you want the question to be?
Would you get rid of Call of Duty in exchange for a lower
Would
price point for
you get rid
Game Pass Ultimate?
of COD in exchange for a lower price on Game Pass Ultimate? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, no. Poll started.
Yeah,
Alright.
and you know, and I put that up on Twitter as well, and usually my polls that I put up on Twitter end up pretty split evenly because, you know, they go out
What's
to
it
quite
looking like right now? What's your poll looking like right now?
75% say yeah, they get rid of COD in exchange for a lower price.
See, I feel like it would go that way because like it's $30 is pretty high up there. But if you were to say, hey, would you want Call of Duty for the cost of $19.99 that you've been paying for a long time? I think people would be like, of course, why not? But it's that the fact that they raised the price that people be like, actually, you know what? I'm good on not having Call of Duty. I'd rather have the cheaper price because I can play
Dude,
more
I loved it.
games.
Yeah, I loved it at $20 because I was getting something extra for free,
Well, yeah.
basically.
So
But
this all doves
no
into
way I'm paying that shit.
what happened today with, I think Tom Warren had the exclusive here. At least that's who I saw first report it.
Yeah, he did.
A
He had
leaked
the memo.
memo from Asha that says Game Pass has become too expensive for players. Short term, Game Pass has become too expensive for players, so we need a better value equation. Long term, we will evolve Game Pass into a more flexible system, which will take time to test and learn around. And that was very interesting here, because I agree with her, and that's something that we said when they did the price hike. Like, people had been talking about Game Pass as the best deal in gaming ever since its debut in 2017, especially when Microsoft put their own games in there in 2018. It's been a constant refrain by people, even no matter what you thought about Xbox itself. It was like, hey, Game Pass is a great deal at those prices, the games that are in the service, all that stuff, like fantastic. And then the price increase hit, and people turned on Game Pass so quickly because it was just like $30 for this, and like the additions really only spoke to the Special Nicks of the world. Oh, Fortnite crew, I can get more skins for my imaginary character. Yeah, right. Like Nick was going crazy over that shit.
Dude, I bought an outfit in World of Warcraft for $20 this morning. I'm part of the problem, and I saw like Overwatch new season drops tomorrow, and there's a Diablo skin for Ramatra. I'm all over that shit, bro. I'll buy that shit instantly.
And it was like, okay, well, this is because of Call of Duty. And even Tom says in the article that, you know, he basically says, like, yeah, the price increase was because of Call of Duty, or at least most of it was because of COD. And it was like, okay, well, how do we get the price to come down? If she's comes into the job already, and what she got in the job February, so we're a couple months in, and she's already being like, hey, Game Pass is too expensive. Well, how, like, that says we got to get the price down. But it's like, how do you get the price down? Well, you remove COD from day one, so now you don't have to worry about that. Now you maybe potentially can drop the price back to what it was. Like, how great would it be if, you know, I don't know, in a couple months or maybe at the showcase or whatever, they announced that, hey, we've listened to your feedback. It's always about your feedback. Hey, we've listened to you, the customer, and we've heard your complaints and concerns, and we're rolling back the price of Game Pass from $29.99 to $19.99. I think that would be met with
it would
enthusiasm. Some people would lament the loss of Call of Duty for sure. The people that like really like Call of Duty, they'd be like, you know, this sucks because I enjoyed playing it on Game Pass. And there'd be the obvious articles and people out there being like, well, what was the Activision acquisition for in the long run if they're already removing, you know, Call of Duty from Game Pass? Like, what did Xbox fans really get at all that stuff? And it's like, okay, fair enough. I mean, that is something that's like, well, it was a swing and a miss. I mean, clearly, if they're going to remove Call of Duty from Game Pass, then that whole thing was just a big swing and a miss by, you know, previous management, Phil and Sarah. Of like, they took a chance on it. They thought it would, you know, drive the business and do record growth on Game Pass and all those sort of things. So if you're already walking that back a couple years later, it shows you that like probably wasn't, or it didn't do what it was supposed to. But I think the more interesting thing here isn't so much that they recognize that it's too expensive, is that the long term thing. They said long term we will evolve Game Pass into a more flexible system, which will take time to test and learn around. That says to me, Game Pass is changing. But changing into what? Is it the idea of the pick your bundle scenario, which would be great. I think a lot of people would like that. Be like, I don't want to pay for this. I don't want this. I just want these things. It almost seems like
here's another thing I've heard. Cloud gaming might be getting rebranded too to Xbox Play Now. I think I've heard
Play Now. Okay.
Don't know how true that is yet, but that's another thing that's coming. So I just like evaluating the whole value proposition around some of those subscriptions, and I think they do recognize cloud gaming is not really hit its potential. They've done no marketing around it whatsoever, and if it is true they are rebranding it to Play Now, that's kind of like that's a more marketable term than probably cloud gaming, like, you know, or they would have rebranded for gaming marketing reasons or whatever. So, you know, the problem is, like, when you're tying cloud gaming to the highest tier, it's kind of like it's a tough proposition.
Isn't cloud gaming tied to every tier though? I thought it was on every tier.
Yeah, but the TV quality one, the 1440p quality one with the higher bit rate, which is really how people, you know, if you're going to play cloud gaming, you probably want to play it on a TV at a higher bit rate. But that's $30, right? And if you're not into Call of Duty, which you're probably not going to be for cloud gaming, because Call of Duty on cloud gaming is not going to be a fantastic experience. It kind of disrupts the value proposition of cloud gaming too. Like, basically the whole thing about Call of Duty and Game Pass was basically just devolved into an experiment that just hasn't worked. It just straight up has not worked. You know, Call of Duty is too expensive to be in there in the first place, and Game Pass is losing money from having to, charge back to the Call of Duty studios, which means that it doesn't get the content fund in order to offset the churn and all that kind of stuff. It just hurt both ends of the spectrum. It hurt the customers, it hurt the devs, and it hurt Game Pass itself. So the only logical conclusion is roll it back. And I suppose like one of the kind of problems with the Game Pass proposition all up is that it's kind of unprecedented. Like there's no one really trying this to the same level. I mean, EA has dipped their toes in, but it's like, it's past gen. It's older games which have kind of hit their sell through point. I don't know. It's like an archive of older games which aren't selling anymore, right? Game Pass is different though, because it helps developers, smaller developers, fund their games in a time where funding and venture capital for gaming is kind of squeezed. A lot of the big venture capital firms are now prioritizing cloud and AI companies, and they're not really funding games the way they were during the pandemic or before then, in the same clip. So Game Pass has been a pretty good content fund for that purpose. And if you've got to send all your content fund money to Call of Duty to keep those studios afloat in an era where you've decimated your own retail sales, that's an issue, And maybe this year's Call of Duty would be better. And it's kind of like, well, if it's going to be good, we kind of want people to buy it rather than rent it, maybe. So maybe this year is like the crucial year to, like I've always said, Call of Duty is a ritual, and they disrupted that ritual, the retail ritual therein, So I think it will be pulled out, and I think maybe we eventually go to a universe where it can be build your own bundle, and maybe Call of Duty ends up in there as like a premium thing, a premium add-on with other things that
Isn't this kind of how what
would be disrupted, like World of Warcraft.
Isn't this how Luna was? Didn't Luna have these sort of channels that you could bundle together if you wanted? Isn't that how that worked? Or is it Stadia that worked
I'm
that
not
way?
sure, because I don't know, because Luna wasn't available in the UK, so
And Luna's not
I didn't
available
really
anymore for
experience it.
anybody.
No, it is. Luna's not dead. Kind of. It still exists. You're just not going to be able to buy games on it anymore.
Oh yeah.
So
For a gaming service where you can't buy games on it anymore, yeah, that's.
It's kind of like, yeah, I think it's a Netflixy or something, if I'm understanding it correctly. The blog post was kind of unclear about how it's going to work, but it's not completely going away. But it does seem like them too. Like they were just like, oh, actually, this whole business doesn't work for us. I think Nvidia and Xbox have really cornered that market. If it's going to work at all, it's going to be one of or both of those guys emerging and victorious there. But
Remember when Phil said our competition isn't Sony or Nintendo, it's Google and Amazon or whatever it was. And Stadia died, and Luna doesn't look like it's long for the world either. So, who's their Are they? If they were to ask now, would they say who's Xbox's competition now? Would they?
I mean, was he really talking about Xbox there, or not just Microsoft?
I don't know. I mean, those
Google and Amazon are definitely still
sure.
Microsoft's
I mean, they're
primary.
obviously Microsoft's competition for sure. But I mean,
I'm just wondering if that was misattributed or something.
I don't know. It's an old interview from years and years ago, before Google and Amazon even got into the gaming business. So, yeah, but I mean, I would really love an a la carte pick your own sort of meal there for Game Pass. I mean, what would you choose? Like if it was up to you, it was like I don't even know what I'd just be like, well, I want the day one games for sure. But like I don't, you know what I mean? Like what I guess it would really come down to price at that point. Like what the things I would add. Like right now, if you were given the choice of like the things in Game Pass right now that I would remove, be like, all right, Fortnite Crew, don't want it. Ubisoft Classics, don't want it. Cloud Gaming, don't want it. I don't know, Call of Duty, if it was just like if it really cost that much, but like, don't want it, you know what I mean? Like, so how much does my bill decrease by if I don't want those things? And it's sort of the worry about if you do create, people can choose what they want. How many people would actually choose to pay for cloud gaming? Does that affect the uptick of it and how people use it? If people can choose what they want and like they don't choose cloud gaming because like for me, I'm not going to choose it. So I'm paying for it. So I'm paying for Jez to sit in his bed and play the games through the cloud. But like at least it was a price where it was cheap enough where I'd be like, whatever, I get these other things. But if I were given the choice, I'd be like, I'm not paying for cloud gaming. I'm never going to use it. And if I ever do decide to use it, would include it in something. That's what I'm sort of curious to see if there's just going to be standards in there where like, sure, you might be able to choose if you want Fortnite crew or choose if you want Call of Duty or whatever, but you can't. There's just like some bedrocks to this where like, no, you can't choose to get rid of cloud gaming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I would like, I'd assume that cloud gaming is going to stick around, but it does sound like they wanted cloud gaming to have its own structure as well. Like
Well,
for
so
people who.
what
Sorry,
about
go on.
that? What about that? The like all first party Xbox stuff. Like, remember those code names that we've seen?
Yeah, Triton,
And like,
something like
yeah,
that.
another one. Like, some people suggest that maybe it's like a Netflix Xbox partnership, where it's just like, hey, these first party games. I don't even know how it works because like I don't think you'd be able to play them on Netflix or whatever. But what if not necessarily wasn't like a Netflix thing? What if that was like a new subscription tier of Game Pass where it was just, hey, you know, it's just like these are just the first party games here. You could pay like a low price for them or whatever. I'm very curious to see what that turns into. I mean, I think it'd be pretty big if they could get some like Netflix collab, where if like Game Pass was a part of Netflix or a Netflix tier. I mean, I think that'd be. I wouldn't pay for it because I already have Game Pass. But you want to talk about the world not knowing, because you could say like, well, what's one of the problems with Game Pass? And I think you could argue not enough people know about it. Like the marketing and stuff has really done a disservice to what Game Pass is and what it offers people. And you would think that maybe more people would have it and whatnot. But like if you can sort of tie it into Netflix in some manner, that definitely would put eyes on for a lot more people. Because I sort of feel like maybe that's an issue with Xbox in general, is like they just have really poor marketing. A lot of their things that they do is, like Xbox Play Anywhere is a great feature, very consumer oriented, like focused, great. But nobody knows about it outside of the people who work in the industry who cover this and like Xbox fans, right?
And like even devs don't know about it.
Yeah, so it's
Like
like,
I oftentimes I get an email from a dev and it's like a indie dev or even like a publisher sometimes, and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, can you check out our games coming to Xbox, Steam, PlayStation, Nintendo, whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool. Does it support Flexible Play Anywhere?" And they'll reply like, "What's that?" I'm like, "Oh man, how are we still here in this day and age?" But at the end of the day, Xbox Play Anywhere doesn't help anyone really except Xbox and its customers. It doesn't really help the devs directly. I mean, in their mind, they're probably giving away 2 copies for free. They probably feel like,
yeah, I'm sure they 100% feel like that's what's happening, right?
yeah, I don't know. But Microsoft has to just be like, well, people don't buy 2 copies, and if it is Play Anywhere, people are more likely to buy in the Xbox ecosystem. That kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see what people got to say. We got the super chat here from Cappy912. Thoughts on the Xbox X and S updating to run the Helix OS? Is that going to be a thing? I don't.
No, that's not going to be a thing. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not going to be well, I mean, I highly doubt it. Like, I would put a 95% chance of that not happening. But you never know what kind of crazy shit Xbox comes up with sometimes. I don't think you'll see Helix on the current system. I think like the current system will probably like eventually just stay as it is. I have heard that they expect the Xbox Series S and X support to run for at least 5 years after Helix launches. like from devs, but I personally don't reckon you'll see full-blown Windows on there. I really doubt that. But I'm sure some crazy YouTuber will hack it on there. We'll see. We'll see what
Probably.
happens.
Glitchy says, how can Xbox justify subsidizing the console if they won't get a cut from rival stores? I mean, it was just a suggestion. I mean, I don't know if there's some subsidy. I personally don't think they will, simply because of that. They're going to have to make sure that every console they sell is profitable right from the get-go. But I don't know, stranger things have happened, you know. I guess we'll wait. I'm very curious on the pricing of these things. 'Cause I just didn't some handheld just go up like some ridiculous amount.
The Legion Go is now $2,000, the high-end model.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. What did
Yeah,
what
Legion Go 2.
what was its previous
The
price?
it started. I think it was $1,500 to start with, the high-end model.
And then it's just
Off the
now
top,
we're
off the top of my head.
$2,000. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, there was never any stock of this fucking thing, and I think Lenovo has been pretty upfront, like, yeah, we barely manufactured any of these. This is aimed at like premium customers or whatever. Like, people, basically, they're saying this is a handheld for millionaires. It's kind of what they're saying. Whereas, like, weirdly, the Xbox Ally base model actually got a price cut, which I thought was interesting. I mean, either they're trying to shift stock of that thing, which is kind of what they did with the previous model, ahead of like a new version of it, like because they did release like the Xbox Ally, no, the ROG Ally OLED models pretty quick after. But it's rare that I can sit here and say, oh, an Xbox device got a price cut. It feels like something that doesn't really happen anymore. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
Glitchy says, why did Microsoft remove the margin pressure earlier? Couldn't Phil convince the SLT, or was the margin pressure in place to push Phil out?
I mean, why damage your business to push someone out? They could have just fired him. So that doesn't scan for me. But it was just the way things are going. Like I said, Windows was enduring the same situation. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably just like Phil. From what I heard, Phil had signaled he wanted to retire back in like November, October, something like that. And they probably thought like this is probably a good time to really re-examine everything we've been doing as a business, and sort of make it so it doesn't, I suppose, in a way, kind of look like Phil's having to do another U-turn, I suppose. It kind of, I don't know, brings it all back around in a way. But I don't know. I don't know what's going through those dudes' heads when they make some of these decisions. All we can do is speculate and discuss it. And you can come to your own conclusions about some of that kind of stuff.
Indeed. We have, let's see here. JD Gamer says, there's no such thing as the unbeatable brand, i.e. PlayStation. No matter how it might look today for Xbox, they can't absolutely change their current position, but it'll cost money, talent, and be uncomfortable. Xbox doesn't have a tech talent or games problem. Xbox has a Zeitgeist problem, something that PlayStation has survived on for decades, but popularity, i.e. Zeitgeist, something you can't directly buy, can change.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, but you also need to have your competitors stumble along the way, because you could make the argument one of the reasons why the 360 was successful wasn't so much because of what Microsoft did, it was because of what PlayStation didn't do, or rather what PlayStation tried to do, right? Because there were a lot of people waiting for what the PS3 was going to do. Even though the 360 came out first, and the 360 had a lot of relationships with a lot of developers and stuff, people were still waiting for Sony be like, well, we're just going to wait for them. And, well, I mean, we saw what they tried to do. They tried selling the system for $5.99 and almost like blew up in their face. And that helped basically lead and secure Microsoft's victory in the North American market and overall, where they, the 360 outsold the PlayStation 3, despite the fact that the 360 was a terribly manufactured device that would break constantly over and over and over and over again. Could you imagine if something like that happened now? Where if your Xbox Series X and S would break after 4 months, or if your Nintendo Switch 2 or your PlayStation like constantly died, or like your iPhones or whatever, it would be curtains for the brand. Like, I'm surprised Xbox basically survived that whole thing. But it goes to show you that the reason they survived was because at the time, Nintendo had turned away from their core audience and was chasing the, what do they call it, the endless ocean. They were chasing like the grandmas and the grandpas with like the motion controls and the Wii Sports. And so like
My aunt bought one for Wii Fit.
yes,
It's the opposite of a
and
game.
PlayStation during the time Xbox had all their hardware problems had nothing. They were super expensive, and the launch titles that they were offering, their launch window games, were all like mediocre. So the only one that was really there for hardcore gamers was Xbox, because they had the Gears and the Mass Effects and the BioShocks and the Saints Rows and the Ghost Recons and the Elder Scrolls and the Halo. Like,
the
it was
version of Fallout.
yeah, like that's partially the reason why Xbox was lifted up, was because one of their competitor was chasing after this different audience, and the other competitor basically stumbled and smacked their face at first in the mud. So you're right in that, like, can Xbox make a comeback? Sure, they absolutely could. There's nothing saying they can't. And what's it going to take? Well, it's going to take a streak of really great games, really great marketing decisions to put Xbox in the forefront, to get people to look at it. Because despite what you say, there still is a perception problem that Xbox has with, I think, a lot of people. You know, they're even now, like, there's some people being, you know, I get reports from people that will DM me and be like, hey, I went to GameStop and somebody was buying an Xbox game or whatever, or an Xbox console, and they told them, hey, don't buy this, buy a PlayStation, because all of Xbox's games are on PlayStation. And if that's already trickling down to that audience who's not really like tuned in, that could be a problem for them. It's like, could they make changes? Yeah, like, you know, they could. They could come back roaring? Absolutely. Anything's sort of possible. But you have to make the right decisions with the right games, with the right focus. But also, I sort of feel like you would need your competitors to stumble as well.
And, you know, it's a pretty... Right now is a pretty good time for them to stumble, you know.
And you can make
if they think like Xbox is on the ropes, this is probably the kind of environment where they would stumble, you know.
Yeah, and you can make the argument PlayStation might have stumbled this generation. Their games output has been not as meaty as previous generations. Their live service initiative has, for lack of a better term, been I don't know what other word that I want to say than underwhelming. You know, I mean, sure, they had one breakout hit in Helldivers 2, but they also had Concord. And as much as I love Marathon, I don't really think Marathon's long for this world. I would not shock me if the game shut down a year from now, considering, you know, the player count and stuff. I don't think Haven's game I don't think Fair Games is gonna. I honestly think Fair Games is never gonna launch. I think it's gonna be canceled one day. So like, they've had issues launching games too, because they spent all this money on live service stuff, which makes it seem like just wasted potential, all the canceled games. But at the same time, Xbox was having their own issues, and then Xbox decided to go multi-platform, and it was like, well, doesn't matter if PlayStation is only releasing 1 or 2 games a year, because Xbox is putting all their games on PlayStation to help, you know. So there's things that Xbox can do, definitely, but it's going to take a long concerted effort that would have to be over years and years and years to really change how people view Xbox in like the mainstream. And I also do think it would take like a significant stumble by one of their other competitors. Not saying that couldn't happen, because we've seen it happen in repeated generations, from like the Wii to the Wii U to, you know, the PS2 to the PS3, like the Xbox 360 to the Xbox One. Like, these companies do make mistakes quite often. And even if you go back to like, you know, the like NES to Super NES, or, you know, like the Genesis to Dreamcast, not Genesis to Saturn, or whatever the heck. Like, these companies are prone to be making mistakes. So, who's the next one to make a mistake? You know? let's see what else we got here, Jez. We have Enzi who says, "Hey guys, you think E-Day comes day one on PlayStation?" I mean, this is the rumor that keeps on making the rounds about Gears E-Day potentially being an exclusive. I mean, I don't know either way. I'll just say that straight up. I don't have any information about Gears E-Day being on PlayStation or not being on PlayStation, so I don't know. Now, I could see a scenario where Gears is exclusive for a few months, kind of like how Forza Horizon 6 is, because we all know Forza Horizon 6 launches next month, but is not on PlayStation day one. It's coming later. I could see a same scenario happening with Gears, where it's simply the PlayStation port's not ready. So it ends up getting delayed. Maybe into 20. That they didn't want to delay the whole game to 2027, so they could launch them all together. They decided to release it this year. Because I mean, you figure if you could, like with Forza Horizon 6, you could delay the game so all the versions released together. But they decided clearly they didn't want to do that. Maybe partially because if you did delay Forza to the fall, well then you're got all these games in the fall and there's just no space for them all. So it's kind of
I'll
like...
say this. Like, I said that they were thinking about adjusting Game Pass.
Okay.
There are very, very, very big discussions about the exclusivity stuff going on right now.
What, internally?
Yeah, internally. So there's like, I think that they do recognize the value, It's just about what kind of company you want to be at the end of the day. Do you want a company that's like, do you want to be an ecosystem company first, or do you want to be a publishing company first?
Well, it's either do you want to be a publisher or a platform? Which was the one you want to be first? The publisher or the platform?
Exactly.
Can't really be both.
You can't really do both well. No. I think like either the hardware operation will shrink to basically what Surface is now, which is like a shadow of its former self, in essence. And for better or worse, Surface is on its deathbed. It's doesn't really exist outside of like a few government contracts they've got, which probably won't even exist either when the next cycle comes in to replace some of this shit. So, do you really want that for your Xbox brand, which is your only consumer facing ecosystem, which has any form of, clout with consumers? And, Satya said in the leaked conversations that I was sharing from their meeting with staff, he says like Xbox even has value on the corporate side, because when I meet with a lot of executives, they don't want to talk about cloud. They want to talk about Xbox. They want to talk about Halo. They want to talk about Xbox games. Even like in the corporate world, they don't give a shit. It's the way you reach your customers when they're not working, and I think increasingly they recognize this. But the discussions are ongoing because at the end of the day, they are leaving money on the table, and it's hard to fight against the spreadsheet. But, Nintendo doing it, Sony do it. They fight against the spreadsheet. They know their games sell on Xbox. They know it. They've got the data. They've seen the data from Helldivers. They can set a marathon probably as well. They can see that games will sell on Xbox and not detract from PlayStation necessarily on the spreadsheet. But you lose prestige when you do it. Every time you do that shit, you lose a bit of prestige every single time you do it. And PlayStation knows it, Nintendo knows it, and some people at Xbox know it. I think everyone at Xbox knows it, but there's also like that whole, actually, we need margins, but margin pressure's being lifted. Maybe that changes the formulas on those spreadsheets we often talk about. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll find out alongside everybody else.
Unless I leak it.
Unless that. I mean, because we talk about like the whole Gears thing and it being like, well, maybe it wasn't ready. I mean, one of the other games that's popped up recently is Fable. About it potentially being delayed. Now, Jeff Grubb put this out there, the Grubster. He said that it was internally delayed with still plans of releasing this year, but they're worried about GTA 6, which I would be worried if I wouldn't want to screw around with GTA 6, and that it maybe could be delayed to 2027 to avoid GTA 6, which if you're in the blast zone yes, I would delay it to next year. Absolutely. So
Mm.
it's
Well,
kind of
I want to bet against Jeff Grubb, but I haven't heard at my end that it's delaying to 2027.
well,
I've
no,
heard that it's
he
still.
didn't say it was delayed until 2027. He said it's been delayed to later this year, and they're
Yeah, but
worried
I
about, which I can totally see. I mean, we're already
yeah,
what,
sure.
like April? Sure. Like we were already. How many times have we done? We're like, what does the release schedule look like? It was like, man, you really, if you got Halo in like August, which the rumors suggest now that Halo's actually coming in July. You got Minecraft Dungeons, maybe that's August. You still have Gears of War, you still have Call of Duty, you still have Fable, but then you have a shortened year because Grand Theft Auto's in November, and the common wisdom apparently from publishers is you need to give them a month window on both sides.
Mm.
And then supposedly the rumor is that very much like it was in 2013 with GTA 5 is that GTA Online will be launching a month after. So you have the launch of the game on November 19th, and then potentially a month later on December 19th or around that frame, you'd have GTA Online launching. So you essentially lose out on all of November and all of December for like, even if you wanted to, like, where Fable was like, we still want to come out this year, but we want to at least release in December, like how, you know, Indiana Jones did that one year in 2024, where Indiana Jones came out early December. But
Yeah.
if that's true and GTA Online's supposed to be released, it's like that's probably not a good. At that point, it's like, well, just delay it till March or May or whatever, and then maybe even then, why not just delay it to the launch of the Helix? Give it a high profile. You know, like that was the part of it. I thought I was like, okay, what if, like, I believe the Grubster. I do, you know, like, and I do think there is a small window there where it's like, hey, maybe it's got delayed a little bit later. They are worried about GTA 6 because you can't fuck around with Fable. A lot of money's been invested in that game. You can't
Yeah.
just be like, if you think there would be some damage to that game and that property because of GTA 6, you need to delay it. So you delay it, okay, you come out with a better like window in March or whatever. But then I would think to myself, I'd be like, yeah, would it just be better to release this as a launch title for the Helix? Because you would be really, you know, we wonder like, hey, what would be launching with the Helix? And I mean, at the time, it's like, well, maybe Blade would be, because I don't think we both don't think Elder Scrolls is going to be ready next year, right?
No.
Elder Scrolls maybe is 2028. So I'm just like, well, what other big games could they have? I mean, they didn't really have any launch titles for the Series X. Do you want to go through that all again? But does that even really matter if the device is really super expensive? Does it really matter what the launch titles are? But I was thinking like, well, if you're going to delay Fable to 2027, why not just delay Fable to the launch of the Helix? At least it would have a big game. But then you know, judging from online reactions, I've seen most people being pretty even keeled about a potential Fable delay, because I think they know, like, well, you can't go up against Grand Theft Auto. Just, you know, yeah, of course, that's the right decision to make. So
I mean, there is a extenuating factor that we not really discussed, and it's the
which
fact that
is,
GTA is not on PC.
well,
So
true.
Fable does have some breathing room because it's going to be on Steam, and it's going to be the game that maybe people who aren't getting GTA on console are going to be able to play. So, you know, it's not all hope is lost. You know, if Fable launches within, you know, shooting distance of GTA. But I would presume that they know Fable's probably going to do best on console, and they probably wouldn't want to launch it on top of GTA. But I also think, like you, they've spent a shitload of money on this game. It's got to launch eventually, you know.
So make sure you give it the best window possible.
But there's also that like thing, like if Ash has got a blank check to revive Xbox,
Well,
or you know, not a blank check, but you know what I mean.
sure.
If she's getting the support of the bean counters to make the effort to revive Xbox, and its Helix is the starting point. You know, they sent out those packages to influencers pretty early on, which is all about seeding Helix as an entity within the Zeitgeist. You know, for better or worse. Maybe that is something you could consider. Is giving it even more budget, launching it with a Helix as a launch title kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Can I just say something about?
I'm fine with delays. I've always said this. Delay everything. Like, make it as good as it can be. I don't give a shit if something's delayed. There's so much stuff I want to play that's already out. Like, I'd rather the game like reached a level that where it's gonna blow me away. But
Sure.
there's a business reality there where shit costs money to delay. You got to pay another. If you pre-revenue on your product, it's another year of another however many months of extra wages you got to pay and shit.
Well, I mean, you probably got to pay those wages regardless because they're going to be working on another game, right? It's not like
Yeah, but it's a product
I guess.
cycle though.
Yeah, sure. But it's also like the fall's pretty condensed because you're going to have like a Halo game, you're going to have a Call of Duty game, you're going to have a Gears game, and I think when we said, hey, which ones do we think would be the biggest success to like least successful? I think both me and you at Fable is like potentially the most successful one out of all the like. I think when we did like Forza, Gears, Halo, and Fable, I think both me and you said number one most successful game would be Forza Horizon 6, right? Because it's the biggest franchise, which would be crazy if you would have said that to me like 10 years ago. The biggest franchise outside of Minecraft, I guess, like Xbox would have in 2026 is a Forza Horizon game. I'd be like, well, man, Halo and all the other stuff must have fell off. Which, I mean, Halo has fallen off. I mean, and Halo has its own problems going on too. Did you see the claims from the developer and stuff, like all that stuff that's going on with?
Yeah, we covered that shit.
Like it's I don't know, like I don't know if Halo Studios can. I don't know, man. I just don't have any faith in that studio to really do what needs to be done. It almost kind of seems like it's just a rearranging chairs on the Titanic sort of situation. Like we'll see what happens with it. But when we talked about like the games from like most successful, least successful, it was like Forza Horizon 6, 1, and I think both me and you at Fable is 2, because you look at like Crimson Desert and you look how successful that game is. It's like it really seems like people really gravitate towards open world, action RPG games more so than, I don't know, like any other genre really. It seems like those games do exceedingly well and could potentially like sell upwards of 10 million, 15 million copies if they're very good games. Where like Gears is kind of and I say this looking back at Fable, like I sort of feel like Gears is Gears' history is working against it in a certain extent, where I don't really feel like Fable's history is working against it, because there really weren't that many Fable games, and this is kind of like a restart or a reboot in a way. And like Fable really hasn't been a part of the zeitgeist or the culture since like the 360. So we've gone generations without a Fable where it can sort of exist and pay homage to the originals, but not have like, or maybe I'm just, yeah, where like Gears is still carrying on the legacy of the games. There's been tons and tons of Gears games with non-stop since like the 2006. And yes, and it does work in its favor of like, all right, well, we have, Marcus and Dom back, and it is like that era where people really love Gears, but also our cover shooters, like I'm not really sure they're really wanted anymore, at least in that way where it was like fresh back in 2006.
Well, I've heard like people have teased me about the way the game's going to be, and one thing I often hear is that like they've evolved the gameplay formula.
Okay, well,
Like
that'd be cool.
melee is
That'd be
going to be
cool.
more of a thing.
More chainsaw battles.
More chainsaw, but like more dynamic chainsaw, not just like a scripted. Oh, here's a chainsaw animation. Like
That's
more
cool.
actual.
That's cool. I mean, they would at least
hands-on
recognize, like,
kind of-
hey, some of that stuff is dated. Like the roadie run, as much as people love the roadie run's dated as fuck. That's when people were like, "Oh, we need an open world Gears game." I'm like, can you imagine an open world Gears game with you running the roadie run the whole time? Getting like, no, they would have to like change the animations and almost. And I get like the roadie run is kind of what makes Gears in a sense of like the big bulky character sprinting. I mean, I really am looking forward to playing the new Gears game, but like out of all the games that Xbox releasing this year, I sort of feel like I don't know. Maybe my mind would change after the showcase. We honestly haven't seen much at all of. We've seen the one trailer. Maybe we see the showcase and it's like, okay, never mind. Like this is going to be huge, right? But I just sort of feel with the way like certain genre games really blow up, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and like Crimson Desert and stuff, that like Fable, if they nail that like open world RPG correctly, like it could really blow up on console and PC in a way that maybe Gears couldn't.
I hope so. It's tough though because this is a studio that hasn't really done this kind of genre before. I know they've made open world games before as a Horizon, but it's different when you've got to weave a story in and pacing and all the rest of it. I mean, even Crimson Desert has its issues with regards to story delivery because the studio, the game was originally going to be an MMO, and that's the studio's bread and butter is MMO, and you can really feel that in Crimson Desert, like with the unnecessarily complicated interactions sometimes. They've streamlined a lot of that stuff now, but I remember when I first played it at Gamescom, it was a very different game, and it was like, man, doesn't feel very good, you know. But they've changed a lot of that shit as they've learned. But it's tough, man. I've kind of like I'm just again I'm in a bit of a wait and see with that one because I don't know the studio that well. It's kind of like you get used to studios being a certain way, right? Like when Capcom puts something out, I expect like these days I expect like a minimum level of quality, and so they've been so consistent and delivered so well. We talk about like one of the best devs in the world right now. It's definitely Capcom, And you got like From Software as well. Like From Software like always delivers a certain cadence at a certain level of quality. But it's a little bit different when it's a new studio in a way doing something they haven't done before, So we'll see how it goes, I guess.
Very interesting. Let's see what else we got here. We got JD Gamer says Xbox's actual problem is that PlayStation was popular 10, 20, and 30 years ago, and those kids playing on PlayStation grew up to be three things: the devs, media, and parents of people not in games directly but depend on them to make purchasing choices.
I think that's true to some degree.
Well, then I mean I don't know. That sort of doesn't. I mean, what happened during the 360 generation though? How did the 360 blow up and become what it was?
Sony shit the bed.
I mean, I know. That's what I'm saying. Sony shit the bed. And then Xbox shit the bed. But then Sony never stumbled after that. I mean, not in any meaningful capacity. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like people give like look at Marathon right now. Reviewed very well. In fact, I think it's like a lot of the journalists have given the game a lot of great reviews. But there's this weird hate campaign online for the game.
You get attacked if you like Marathon.
That people are like, constantly quoting the Steam charts or whatever. So if like the media had as much power as people said it had, then Marathon would be doing a lot better than it's currently doing. And this is coming from someone who loves Marathon. And even I know like Marathon is definitely going to be facing some problems with its player base numbers eventually. Do I think like, Bungie saying, "Oh, we got years"? Like, I don't think that's the case. Like, there's a very good chance that game is like a year from now, the game should like shut down if the numbers dwindle so far. But sometimes I feel like people give too much importance to the media in certain aspects of things. I mean, you look at Crimson Desert. Granted, a lot of the reviewers who got to play that game early basically played a different game than what like consumers ended up paying. Like, it was basically like a high 70s and wasn't, but the game is.
You gave it a 9 out of 10.
And you guys did, sure. But like, the game is sold 5 million copies. It's probably going to sell maybe 10 million copies by the time it's all said and done or close to that. But I mean, like, if it was any other game, like high 70s would be like, oh, this game's DOA, because that's how people still look at like a 7, and be like, it's not worth my time. But games still like buck that trend in the media. And I think devs just go to where they can make the most money, honestly. Like, I think devs just really look at it like, what platform can I make the most money on? And when it was the 360, they prioritized the 360. And then when it wasn't, it was PlayStation. And I think they just go where the money is. And that's why one of the reasons why you see, devs skip Xbox or what have you. It's because there's more money to be made on PC and PlayStation because of the bigger user base than there is on Xbox. That's just how it is. And I think they know that, which is one of the reasons why Helix exists, where it's like, hey, you build a PC game and it works across this, so you still get the Xbox version and what have you. I don't know. I think people give too much power to and I don't know the like parents thing. Like, maybe there's some truth to that, of being like, well, I like the PlayStation, so you could play this, but I don't really think kids these days give a fuck about PlayStation or Xbox, even if their parents were big gamers. They're playing Roblox. You know what I mean? Like, they don't give a they maybe they play Nintendo stuff, but I don't think that matters. I don't think
my a friend of mine who's got an 11-year-old. He said that he bought his 11-year-old Nintendo Switch 2 for Christmas, and he's barely touched it. All he wants to play is Roblox on his phone, man. All he wants to play. Every day, Roblox.
Everyday Roblox. Meat Puppet wants to know, what are the chances we see Warcraft on the Xbox Series, Jez?
Slim to none, I think. They did add native Xbox controller support in this recent expansion, but at the same time, it's also like a very old engine and spaghetti code, and I don't think it's necessarily something they want to be doing. So if I had to guess, my assumption would be it's probably going to be a Helix thing, if at all. Personally.
Okay. All right. JD Gamer also says, Xbox solution isn't anything I've heard in the gaming community. Xbox couldn't sell a better console, cheaper console, better service, Game Pass. They need a competitor, someone who can drive enthusiasm for the brand. Look to sports. Okay. Mr. Winkle says, any word on changes for the multi-platform strategy, if any? I think you mentioned that they're discussing it internally. Was what you said?
Yeah, they're discussing it. We'll see what happens, whether it amounts to anything, but
we'll see.
Being discussed.
JD Gamer also says, Asha the Empress needs JD Gamer, man. I tell you, bro. Thanks for supporting the channel. I don't know if I've ever thought in my lifetime I see someone refer to someone as Asha the Empress. Come up with some names here. Asha the Empress. Okay.
People like Asha, man.
I know.
They're staking a lot of hope on what she'll do.
Yes, but what if she? Okay, let me ask you this though. What happens if she doesn't do what they want her to do? What then? Does she become Asha the witch? Asha the temptress?
Asha the destroyer.
Asha the destroyer. Right now, it's all good because she's doing some cool things, right? Like potentially lowering the price of Game Pass. These console first updates, like the most recent one, achievement refresh, which is something I'm not sure I ever thought we'd see ever really see. It's pretty cool. Like, hey, they changed the animations. They had it so you can hide any game on your list. Now, previously you could hide any game that didn't have an achievement, but now you can just hide any game, period. So if you don't want your Barbie games to show up in your list, you can just hide them. Or, and they highlighted completed games, the games they have like all the achievements in. It's like cool. That's a great first step. And it's definitely something where Xbox, you can clearly tell Asha came in and was like, and I think she even said this, they had a team to develop like the fan feedback, where it was like, what can we do right away to show people that we're paying attention? And they did that update that 2 weeks after she took over, And now they have this update, and it seems like there's going to be more updates coming to achievement, which is great because as much as I do like this update to the achievement stuff, I do feel like it's all surface level. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, just a highlight color of, oh, you got all the achievements in this, just highlight this a color. It's like, how much work
I don't
did that have to
disagree.
do? You know, it's like changing the animation of something that's been the same animation for 10 years now. It's like, okay. Like, let's have some significant changes to this stuff. Like, something that really, really, like, needle down
Something
into
cool.
instead of something that was like, all right, you know, I appreciate it. It makes it seem more fresh, but let's see some more in-depth changes and of that nature.
I feel you, bro.
No, but it's cool. It's cool first step. Cool first step in the right direction.
I mean, it's only been a few weeks.
I mean, yeah, it's been a couple months. So,
and it's just like we need to give her a hot minute to get settled in. You know, it's kind of funny. Like she's through the door, and like everyone's sort of like waiting with bated breath to see what happens.
It makes it
myself included.
The stuff that makes it
fun. Interesting though.
It makes it fun is because it's unpredictable and interesting. Where I guess you could make the argument with Phil and Sarah was like the train was just rolling down the tracks. Everybody knew where it was going. There was no surprises. It was just like this is the destination we're going to, and everybody's on for the ride. And now there's been a derailment, and we have a new train conductor, and the new train conductor can have a lot of different paths. You want to get back on the track? Do you want to like take this train and actually turn it into a big old truck and go down a different road? Like the
truck better than the train.
I'm just saying, like, that's what makes this sort of interesting, because if Phil and Sarah were still there, I don't think any of this happens. I don't think they do. I think Game Pass remains the same price. I don't think they remove COD if that's the thing. I don't think they make this achievement focus like update. I think those are all just not the priority anymore. And you know, because of new leadership, you have some different things that are done. You know, I don't think there's any discussions about exclusivity, because that discussion would already been had and been made. And it's just like, hey, this is the direction we're moving in. You either get on the train or you get off. And now that like the train's sort of derailed in a way and has a new conductor, people are like hopeful and be like, well, there could be significant changes to this stuff. And you're already seeing it. Like, well, you know, whatever day we wake up and it's like Game Pass has reduced its price to $19.99 and Call of Duty is no longer a part of it, I'd be very curious to see the sentiment online for that.
Agreed.
I know there'll be people making fun of like, you know, like, oh, you bought Activision, you don't even get caught in Game Pass. But I do wonder how people's reaction would be like, oh, well, it's back to $19.99. That's a great price. That's all and it, you know, it doesn't have COD in there. Who gives a shit or whatever, right? Like, I'd be very curious to see that reaction. What else we have? We have, well, I didn't continue to read what he said. Asha the Empress needs both experts in making great games and experts in brand imaging. Look to sports for those that have successfully turned a team around and changed team and fans' perception of winning. Yeah, but doesn't it usually do with draft? Oh. I mean, like, look at the Chicago Bears this year.
You need Alex Ferguson?
Alex Ferguson? What do you mean?
That Manchester United guy.
I have no idea who that is. Who's Manchester United?
Well, it's a sports team that's bigger than any American.
Do they kick around a ball on the field?
They sure do.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I will say, like, the Chicago Bears, who have been bad, they finally hired the right head coach, and they have the quarterback, which, you know, you have the quarterback and the head coach, you're going to have a good team. And I guess that's, you know, that's the analogy to JD Gamer is talking about here. Brian says, long-time listener, first-time super chatter. It's fun seeing Jez on cam. Is there still a chance we see Rand's hand the mug on cam someday? I mean, never say never, but it wouldn't be anytime soon. I'll never say never. Rave Damo says, if COD skips day one, do Bethesda Obsidian get leverage to opt out too? How does Microsoft manage the internal Pandora's box and consumer uncertainty? You know what? That's an interesting question. Because if you're given that privilege to Call of Duty to skip, do other studios kind of like feel like, oh, like why? You know, that's sort of the things like with the Bethesda situation with Pete Hines, which I'm sure we'll talk about, where his whole thing with message to Phil was, well, why are they multi-platform and we have to be exclusive? You know, would that open up some wounds if Call of Duty was no longer day one, but like all the other studios had to be, and that affects bonuses or certain things, you know?
Yeah, maybe. But like Asher can be like, well, deal with it, you know.
Oh, deal with it with the glasses coming down. Asha the Empress, at least according to JD Gamer.
I mean, at the end of the day, like, you work for a company. Like, I can't go to my bosses and be like, oh, actually, I don't want to do this, you know. There's like, if my boss tells me I've got to do something, usually you have to do it, you know. Is that crazy? Is that crazy?
Depends on what they ask you, Jez.
I don't know, my job, you know. But if for example, my bosses were like, okay, every Windows Central article is going to be paywalled now. Like, I don't like it, but you know, and I'll say this is a dumb idea, but I'll do my job, you know, because at the end of the day, I want to get paid. Right?
Mm. What else we got here? We have Mr. Supernova. For me, brand, strong global scale and third-party respect. Well, I'm gonna read this start over. For me, brand, strong globe scale and third-party respect. No Xbox version cuts. Healthy business for developers under Microsoft and no D1 service. Okay. We have Glitchy who says, if the margin pressure is gone and they're making Game Pass more flexible, could it mean they can stop releasing games on Steam, PS5, and Switch too? Your guess is as good as me. I don't know. Maybe. If they're discussing internally the exclusivity stuff. I don't know. I think it comes down to, is the juice worth the squeeze? It's like kind of what we always said. Like, is the short-term revenue you would get worth the long-term pain as a platform where people are discussing it, like, is it even worth buying and investing in your ecosystem if I can get all your games plus those publishers' games on that device for a cheaper price? Like, that is going to be a concern for people. Like, well, why not just get a PlayStation to play Wolverine and Fable? Like, why would I get an Xbox to just only play Fable? I mean, it's an interesting counterpoint, and I'm sure some people are like, well, you know, play anywhere. You could play it on PC. It was like, yeah, but you can't play Wolverine. Or like, those are questions you'd have to ask. And then some of us are in positions enough where it's like, well, you can afford both consoles, and like, I don't have to make the choice. But not everybody's in that situation. And you know, I remember like when I owned one console, it was like when I owned the 360 it was great because the 360 had all the games. It was like, I was like, oh, you chose right. And then all of a sudden PlayStation started to have some cool stuff, and you were just like, oh man, I kind of want to play that. It's like, oh, like I only have this thing, and it makes you kind of, I don't want to say bitter, but it's kind of just like,
it doesn't feel great.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great, especially if like a game you're looking forward to skips the platform you're on. But then like once I got both systems, it was like, oh, whatever. I'd rather play it on Xbox, but I'll play it there. Like if I only had an Xbox and Silent Hill 2 came out and it was only when it was only on PlayStation, I probably would have been like so upset. But it was like, oh, I'll just play on my PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't a big deal. But not everybody can afford multiple systems, and yeah, that's the problem.
A lot of people don't even want them.
True.
You know, like a lot of people are just be like, you know, do I want two systems where I only use one for exclusives, or do I just want one system and just be like, well, you know, if I'm going to go all in on a console, I'll get the one that's more fully featured. And right now, that's PlayStation without a doubt. You know, unless you're going to take advantage of Play Anywhere, which I would imagine is a small percentage of the audience. You know.
All right,
it's a nice thought, You know, this thought of like, oh, you can play any game you want on any system you want. It's a nice thought, but that's just not the reality that the industry has today. And I think Phil, bless him, he really wanted it to happen because it probably is better for the industry. It's better for devs, better for creators, it's better for the customers too. But that's just not going to happen because at the end of the day, the different companies want to actually compete with each other. You know,
Mm.
that's my opinion anyway.
Did you see? Apparently, some of the Rockstar stuff leaked from the people that hacked it or whatever because Rockstar
Oh,
didn't
really?
pay.
Mm.
So I guess there's the platform breakdowns average per week.
Oh,
Yeah, so it looks like so the platform breakdowns, PlayStation is 63% of GTA users, Xbox is 25%, and PC is 10%.
that's quite surprising. I would have thought PC would be bigger than Xbox.
Yeah, PS5 is 3.4 million users and made, I don't know if this is per week. So PS5 is 3.4 million players per week. They make $4.4 million. PS4 has 1.8 million players per week, and they make 973,000. Xbox Series X has 1.1 million users, and they make 1.8 million per week. Xbox One has 1 million users and make 918,000. And PC has 894,000 users and makes 264,000. So I guess it shows you why they don't care so much about PC.
Yeah, but it's kind of like carrot and stick, isn't it? It's like they put PC last. PC gamers are going to show up last. You know.
Yeah. Well, the rumor suggests that the PC version is coming like 3 months after the console release. I don't know if you saw that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Is that part of this leak as well? Or?
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised the PlayStation version is the highest, you know. But yeah, I did think PC would definitely be higher, but I guess not. So
Interesting.
let's see. We have
So this kind of like it really does cut into the narrative that like Steam charts are the be all and end all of the game's engagement. You know, people really underestimate platforms like Battle.net or even the Xbox app. You know.
Yeah.
So.
But definitely going to sell. I mean, GTA 6 is going to sell a lot of PlayStations. Just looking at that list, not to mention that there's the same amount. It's Xbox One still has 900,000 users playing GTA Online, and PS4 has 900,000 users. So they're still right there. I mean, you're essentially at 2 million weekly users that still play GTA on last gen, right? So
That's crazy.
Those people, I mean, I guess those people can continue to keep on playing, but they're probably going to upgrade. So you're looking at that. You have 2 million weekly users that are probably looking to buy a console. So the question is, what will it be? It's me, the broke boy, says, heard GameStop employees say that the week or two ago, customer asked for a Series X, said flat out, you don't want it to get a PS5 to play everything. I walked out. I mean, I've heard similar stories. I mean, who knows if they're true or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. It's just kind of how it is, right?
Yep.
Let's see what else we got here. We have geez, I guess we mentioned this Pete Hines comments, Jez. Because this kind of blew up. Pete Hines left Bethesda because it was getting damaged, mistreated, and abused. Pete Hines was a big fixture in Bethesda for many years. He kind of took a step back a little bit when they got acquired by Xbox. You know, he would show up. He would show up during his showcase where he would intro Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76 every show. It was just like, no wonder the dude feels the way he is. He said his mental health was deplorable.
Mm-hmm.
He suggested they didn't want to leave as it was extremely difficult walking away from the team, but that the company had become what the company had become under Microsoft simply didn't interest him anymore. Yeah. So what do you think about all this stuff about the Pete Hines quotes and everything here? I mean, I'm not surprised he feels that way. I mean, the dude went from like big fish in a small pond to a small minnow in a big ocean. You know what I mean? Yeah. Where his voice probably amounted for a lot, and when they were independent to basically just one voice of many.
Well, I know a bunch of people who left Bethesda in the wake of Microsoft acquisition, and a lot of it was, from what I was told, to do with benefits. So Bethesda staffers didn't get the the benefits that Xbox staffers did. And obviously that was like not always well received, as you can imagine. So there's that aspect of it potentially, but there's also like, you know, it's just a different universe. Like I talked about it a little bit on my show, and I was just like, well, was it my show with Gaz? I can't remember. But I was just like, Windows Central used to be we used to be a startup. Windows Central, iMore, and Android Central. We used to be a startup in a small company. The current head of YouTube talent relations actually used to run iMore, which is funny. And also some of the other iMore people went to work for Apple directly. So like we were like hot shit, like Windows Central and all these websites. We were like really one of the first in the first wave of digital only websites from that era. Like when I joined, they were like pioneers and shit. No, before then everyone was like working in offices. We were like fully remote, and that was like unheard of at the time. All that kind of thing, right? And over time, we got acquired by Future, which is the biggest publisher in the world, biggest digital publisher in the West, I should say, not in the world. So biggest English regions. They own like everything: PC Gamer, Games Radar, Metal Hammer Magazine, Marie Claire. Like they own everything, and it was just kind of like Windows Central went from being like a central pillar of a startup to being like literally nothing. I've spoken to people in departments of Future that didn't even know we existed. And they were like, "Oh, you guys cover gaming?" And stuff like that. And it's just like, Jesus, like, do you know who I am? Kind of thing. So, and there's definitely a sense of that, and it's definitely hurt my mental health. Some weeks I've come on the show feeling awful about like what's going on in my day job, and it's not a result of like anything other than to do with dealing with the faceless corporation that you work for. Some people thrive in that environment, the corporate environment, and there's definitely people that I work with that really thrive in a corporate environment. And then there's people who like often, I suppose, creative kind of people like myself potentially who don't really thrive in that environment. And so I don't know. I don't know everything that happened there. And I'm sure there's like a lot of people have left Xbox over the years from studios that were acquired. I'm sure there is like this huge cultural whiplash when you go from being like, independent or a startup to being owned by a corporation. It's probably like crazy for some people. Some people adjust to it well, some people don't. I'm someone who hasn't really adjusted to it well, honestly. But I'm trying. But kind of is what it is. I don't think like like I speak to people like Phil and other Xbox alumni, and it's like these people want to do a really good job, for the customers and for for their families and whatever else. It's not like anyone's sitting there like, oh, we want to make all our employees' lives a living hell and all this kind of thing. Where nobody's sitting there thinking that. And sometimes it's just the corporate environment kind of just makes it kind of sad and inevitable, I suppose. I don't know. It's a shame.
Yeah. I do want to kind of just point out here. He does say this part here, which I just kind of have a laugh at. He says, "I just hit a point of yes, it needs me, and I am powerless to do what I think needs to be done to run this place properly, to protect those people, to maintain what we work so hard to create." Like, I get all that stuff here, right? That's 100%. And then he goes on to say, which is an incredibly efficient, well-run video game developer and publisher. And it's like, bro, that's not what Bethesda was before the Microsoft acquisition. Like, Fallout 76.
I scratch my head at some of that
like
stuff.
Fallout 76, Wolfenstein Youngblood, just to name a couple, not to mention like Redfall, which was under you. I mean, it's weird because some people will be like,
Brink. Wasn't that them as well? Brink.
I mean, they were,
remember that?
Yeah, like I know, like some people will be like, you can't give Microsoft any credit for Starfield, but then they'll put all the blame of Redfall on Microsoft, and it's like Redfall or whatever. But it's like, you started this whole Save Player One campaign with one E3 where you were about the single player games, and then the next E3 was all this live service nonsense. So I don't know, man. Like, to say that you
Mobile games too. Elder Scrolls Blades
Yeah.
got shut down last week.
it's like, yeah, maybe they were incredibly efficient. Although I don't know, like it definitely, some of those, like part of the reasons why they were available for acquisition were like the decisions and the games that you released that really hamstrung everything. Is it's like, yeah, I get it. Like I get why he's feels the way he certainly feels, but like Bethesda, they weren't like they didn't have they had lost that reputation before Xbox bought them. Like they were spiraling because I mean, Fallout 76 really destroyed their reputation like completely, and Wolfenstein Youngblood, it was just like, what had happened to the publisher I loved, you know? And like, okay, it looks like they're getting back to those sort of things, right? Like Starfield, which, I mean, I guess it really depends if you like that game or not, but Doom: The Dark Ages was great. Indiana Jones was fantastic and stuff. So hopefully Blade. But yeah, like they had their misses. So yeah, anything else, Jez? You talk about everything? Let's see here.
I think that's everything, right? We didn't talk. Did we talk about? We talked about the show. Did we talk about Metro? Oh, no, we did talk about
We
Metro.
did talk about Metro at the beginning.
Yeah, I think that is everything.
The Halo stuff, which I'm not really read up on. I kind of did read some of it, but there's been all this stuff about Halo Studios now. Like, it's just, I don't know what to think about the studio and the leadership there. And I'm always just when I think about the sort of things that happen, I just remember Phil saying, if we lose our way with Halo, or what's the exact quote? It's basically like, yeah, if we lose our way with Halo, we lose our way with Xbox or whatever. And it's just like, man, like you kind of really lost your way with Halo. At least the Halo has been, the significance of it has been declined significantly over the years, where it's like, what happened? And I don't know, man, like it's just, it's sad to see. It's sad to see. But then you even have like the original Halo developer having their own problems, Bungie right now with Marathon and everything that comes along with releasing a game that is loved by the people that love it, but doesn't really have enough players that you sit there and thinking like, man, I don't know if this game's going to be around in a year from now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't see them like shutting down Halo Studios, because then, I mean, I guess they could farm out Halo to other studios. But it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like a poorly run studio, really, with a lot of problems.
Yeah.
And we'll see how Halo Anniversary is received, or Halo Campaign Evolved is the name of it, right? How the remake will be received by people.
I don't even like the name.
Yeah, the name is a little bit, yeah.
It should just be called Halo or something.
Well, I mean, the name of the original is Halo Combat Evolved, and maybe this is a way for them to say, like, it's just the campaign, it doesn't include the multiplayer, so it's like Halo Campaign Evolved. But we'll see what happens with that game. are people really itching for that? I mean, I'm very curious just for the 3 prequel missions. I mean, I've been on the record being like I couldn't care less, kind of like with the Gears thing. But once you got new content, I'm like, okay, yeah, all right, I'm interested. Now, this week does have a lot of cool stuff coming out. You got, I think Pragmata comes out early next week, but tomorrow is supposed to be replaced, which I'm very interested in. Hades 2 finally hits Xbox this week, which is game of the year contender from last year, which I'm very interested in. I think Mouse PI comes out this week as well.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
So
keep going on Instagram for that shit.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff to play. But should we hit some questions, Jez? Shall we?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So thank you guys for hanging out with us. If you haven't already, just hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to know when we go live. You can always support us if you need to. If you want to also get a little deal for yourself and to protect you online, you can check out surfshark.net/XB2 or surfshark.com/XB2. 86% off a 2-year deal. Protect yourself online. And patreon.com/XB2 where we're going to be reading the questions and answers from this week. So let me see. Let me get that up. Let me get that up real quickly. Let's see. Where is that thread, Jez?
It's in there somewhere. Might be a bit low down because I made it like last week at this point. I posted it in the VIP channel as well.
All right, here we go. I see it. All right. Oh, we got quite a bit of comments on here, Jez.
Yep.
So we got Bilal,
baby,
who says, "Hey guys, great to see console updates rolling out so quickly, especially the achievement ones, but would love something equivalent to a platinum trophy when we get 100% completion. Platinum does motivate me sometimes to 100% some games such as Returnal or Elden Ring. Jez, you said a couple weeks back that you are confident that this is not the last console. Of course, Microsoft can come in and cancel anything at any moment, but are we talking about another proper console like Helix that's built by Microsoft, or were you referring to an OEM models or handhelds? Thanks, guys.
Nope,
Take care."
100% Microsoft made devices. This is not the last console.
Well,
guaranteed.
Okay, you guarantee it. We'll see. But I would definitely love. I did see. I think Diego posted it like a little like what like an Xbox Platinum would be, and he had like it was like the Emerald Trophy, where it was like green and everything.
Perfect,
I'm like, oh, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely fantastic. We got Pat Rock. He goes, "Sorry, this is a long one, but I haven't asked a question in a couple months. The last several years, Xbox software cadence has been 8 to 10 releases a year. Not all of those have to be exclusive, but say Asha looks at the lineup and picks 2 to 3 games to be exclusive a year. Do you think it would be worth bringing back the OG only on Xbox logo and launch those games as the Xbox ecosystem exclusive? No Steam, no PlayStation, save for at least 12 months. Surely, even if a game underperforms in sales, they can write it off as an investment into the platform. Phil said exclusives weren't really working for them before, but maybe it was how they were exclusive. Steam has been eating Xbox's lunch for 10 years now."
I completely agree that they should do exclusives. I said this from day one. I've always said this. I think no exclusives is insane. I think it's crazy. They should at least have some things that are exclusive. I think some things like Forza, they make too much money to keep exclusive. But it's like Rand always says now, is the juice worth the squeeze, which is Rand's new catchphrase. And I think like a lot of the games that they are putting on PlayStation don't move the needle in either direction. I think like, yeah, maybe it helps the bottom line a little bit, but the amount of brand damage that it's doing is just not worth it. So if it was me, I would keep some stuff exclusive, especially if it's single player, for example. I think Fable is a good show. I would honestly, personally, I would keep Elder Scrolls exclusive if it was me. But that's probably another one of them where it's just like, man, we make so much money if we put this on PlayStation. But I also think it is something that you could point to as a selling point of your whole ecosystem, your entire ecosystem. And it's not just about the console; it's about Play Anywhere, it's about Xbox PC. It's like if you've got that on PlayStation, the whole argument falls apart, man. For me, anyway. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe Microsoft knows better. I'm sure they do know. I would hope they know better. It's some random podcaster, dude. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. It really is like what Asher ends up deciding in the end. That really is what it boils down to.
Yeah, I think the OG on, only on Xbox logo. I don't necessarily think that works anymore because that's like a physical thing on a box where you're
Mm.
browsing the store and you see it. It's part of that. Like in an era where everything's digital and Xbox is basically not, there's no physical presence anymore, at least minimal. I don't really think the only on Xbox tag works.
Mm.
So, as cool as it would be to see again on something, I think that's a product of a time frame where people were browsing like store shelves and saw something and saw that logo and was like, "Huh." With everything being online, I don't think it works.
I think I agree with you. Yeah.
We got sick and tired. Says,
Oh,
"Hey,
maybe in trailers though. I don't know.
yeah, but even still, Xbox still does these showcases or whatever with everybody's logo in it." So,
I think that needs to stop too.
yeah, we'll see.
Start competing, man. Compete. Let us have competition. Satya Nadella himself said it, man. I don't know.
Don't tell me you're a Satya fan now. All of a sudden,
I'm not, but he killed my Windows Phone. I'm never being a fan of him, but he did say, "Let there be competition to regulators," and then he stops competing.
hey,
So,
him killing the Windows Phone is why I'll always be a fan of his.
ugh, you're a bad person, man.
Sick and tired says, "Hey, Jez and Randy, I was wondering how big is your game backlog? Mine's in the hundreds. I was wondering if you also have found that you have actually bought multiple versions of the same games without realizing it. Turns out I have multiple copies of the same games bought when they were on sale, such as the base version, the deluxe version, the premium version, the Game of the Year version, etc., before I've actually got around to playing them. I find myself having choice paralysis when I look through my game catalog, and I just can't decide which one I want to start playing, so I end up just playing more Lawnmower Simulator. Surely I'm not the only one. Thanks again for all you
No,
do,
I'm
and go the Adelaide at Adelaide
Adelaide.
Crows? Yeah.
Adelaide Crows. Interesting. I'm definitely in the same camp. I'm definitely someone who's just like choice paralysis. Oh, I'll just play WoW again then. I'm kind of like it's coming to the end of the season in WoW, and I've kind of done everything I can possibly do in WoW in this season. So I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, okay, I'm looking at my backlog again, and there's so much I want to play, like, but I do think I'm just gonna go with recency bias here and play Pragmata probably. Um, because I've got a shiny code for that waiting for me. But I've also started reviewing a pretty big game that's going to take a lot of my time. So yeah, I'll probably be reviewing a game before I play Pragmata. At which point, will there be something new and shiny coming out that'll take my attention away again? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I do have games I haven't played yet in my backlog, but I don't really stress over it. Like, there's like Planet of Lana 2. There's like the new Life is Strange game that I want to play. There is the Metal Gear game from last year that I want to get to, but it was like a remake, so I was like, well, I can get to it at any point. Um, there's a few other games that from the last few years that like the Star Wars Outlaws game where I was like, oh, maybe I want to play this or whatever. I mean, I have games in my backlog, but I usually, if I want to play the game, I play it right away. Like with Hades 2 that comes out, even though I'm playing Marathon every night, Hades 2 is going to come out, I'll be on Hades 2. Or like Pragmata come out, I'll be playing Pragmata. Like if it's something I want to play right away, I'll hop on it. And if it slips through the cracks, I'll eventually get through it, at some point. But and I get it. I mean, not everybody like games like me where I'm just like one game at a time. And like people, although my book TP. Maybe this was a better question for like my book things, because my book backlog keeps on getting bigger and bigger because I keep on buying more books. So yeah, like I find myself maybe sometimes more planning out what I'm gonna read. Cause like, well, I got this book coming next week because it's a new release, and it's like I got to get rid of this one. I got to read this one, and it's like, oh my god. And then sometimes I do buy multiple copies of a book because like they have a regular thing, but then I want the deluxe hardcover, which is more money or whatever. I've never done that with a game where I bought like the multiple version, but I have done that with books where I bought like a better version of it, essentially. So, Sharky says, after the new update, I'm going to give Starfield another playthrough. This game is a prime example of the Xbox tax. It had some spectacular missions and enormously ambitious scope. It didn't quite deliver on its ambition, but 6 or 7 out of 10 is an unserious score designed to troll. Rant over. I want to ask about game music. Starfield has, in my opinion, the best game music of all time. What are some of your all-time favorite games based on their music? I mean, right away, the one that comes to mind is Final Fantasy VII. Like, that music is just iconic in my head. Because I've heard it so much, you know? Right, Jez?
I thought Prey.
Prey.
I love Prey. Prey's
Did you
music,
see
yeah.
the thing that come out with 3D Realms where the guy said they licensed Don't Fear the Reaper for $10,000? But if they were to license it now or whatever, it would cost like $150,000.
Jesus,
Yeah.
I did not see that.
Yeah. I think Final Fantasy VII probably is like the most, like, there's also the Halo score. I mean, Halo score is iconic, right? But I sort of feel like it's, the older it is, it has to have some weight and it has to like kind of stand the test of time, you know? And that's part of the reason why I distinctly remember those, because like it stayed with me for so long that even after all this time, I still remember Halo's score and I still remember Final Fantasy VII's score. Or like I still remember Lost Odyssey's score. I'm sure Jez is, it's funny that you haven't mentioned World of Warcraft score, so I guess it's pretty meaningless then, huh? Doesn't have a good one. Doesn't have a good one.
I mean,
there's no cool score that happens when you kill the Lich King or whatever, dude.
The thing is, World of Warcraft has been going so long. The music has peaks and troughs. There's definitely some iconic songs in WoW over 20 years, but it's not really, outside of a couple of tracks. It's not really what I would call memorable personally. But I don't know. One thing people complain about often with this is that the music's not as good as it is in WoW as it is in Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy 14 has better music, is what a lot of people say. No.
All right, we have. Let's see here. Murray says it feels like Xbox is in a lose-lose situation with PlayStation ports when it comes to their own user base and pushing their own platform. One, if they make the PlayStation release day and date, they lose. Two, if they delay the PlayStation release more than 6 months, they get often released on PlayStation with additional features like 60 FPS, photo mode, DLC, etc., which kind of makes the Xbox release looks like the unfinished. It happened with almost all delayed PlayStation ports so far. 3, if they delay the PlayStation release only for a short time, so the port is the same as the Xbox release, not sure if it would make a difference compared to day and date. What do you think about it? Yeah, if you release day and date, the fans are upset. But if you release it, like with Starfield right now, where it's 3 years, the people are upset because it adds all these features. People will say, "Oh, you beta tested it, and you got all these extra features, and maybe even the price is even cheaper." So.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the discourse around like, "Oh, you beta tested it," I feel like that's very much a Twitter thing. I don't think the wider audience gives a shit about that aspect of it. So if it was me, I think it's better for the platform to be able to say this is exclusive to our console, and we're gonna be obtuse about when it's coming to other platforms. Not even mention it until we decide on it later, maybe. That's what Sony would do. Like Sony didn't talk about Helldivers coming to Xbox until it was a thing, So I think to some degree you're right, but I also think I think that is very much a Twitter thing where people talk about the beta testing aspect of it.
All right, we have Goggles Lens who says, "Hey guys, I do like the insider program as a concept, having a way for people to opt into being a playtester and giving feedback before it comes to the masses. But for me, I would rather have a smooth experience that I assume would happen more if you don't have experimental features. But it does get a bit annoying when they announce something and it's only in the insider program and will be there soon for everyone else at a later date. Which has me check my Xbox PC app for these changes to only be disappointed when they are not there. I do remember one time there was something someone asked why this is not in, and Jez was like, "What are you talking about? It was added years ago." And he looked, and it was in the insider program for years. So sometimes things might never leave the program. Is the insider program more experimental and risky, or is there just no downside to being in it? I'm glad for these fan changes, even if they're small, but they do mean something that they're listening to fans, even if just for simple things like this. And if they're adding fan features, what is something you guys would add? Something likely and something out there. Is there a downside to being in the insider stuff? I guess it depends on the ring you're in. Like, I'm in alpha, and I've never really had a problem with any of it. You do get updates, like I guess it depends. Like, you don't get updates all the time, but you do get updates. But I've never had a serious problem with being in the alpha ring. I don't know about you, Jez. Like, I think there's even a ring beyond alpha that gets even
Alpha
earlier.
skip ahead?
Alpha
Something
skip
like
ahead,
that?
yeah. That might be a little bit. I don't know. They always say, like, there might be issues. Who knows? But I've never personally had one.
I've never had one either. I've been in alpha skip ahead since forever, and I mean, I think I've had one issue maybe at some point, but it was something they patched pretty quick, you know. They're restructuring the windows inside the program to be more like the Xbox One as well.
Mm.
But
as for what features I'd like to add, I mean, we mentioned I like an Emerald Trophy.
Emerald Trophy, yeah.
Would be pretty cool.
I really want to see them invest in the DVR, man. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see if that even makes a feature for Helix.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
Yeah. Let's see. We got John who says, "Hey, Rand Jez, if Xbox Helix ends up being a premium, higher priced device as suggested, what do you think Microsoft can do to make it more accessible?" I have an idea I wanted to run by you, but I'd also be interested to hear your thoughts. What if they offered a model tied to Game Pass, similar to the Xbox All Access program used for the Xbox Series X? For example, users could either pay a fixed monthly fee over a set period, like 2 years, with the total cost covering both the console and Game Pass, or buy the console at a reduced upfront price while committing to a 1 or 2 year Game Pass subscription. The overall cost could match the combined price of the console and Game Pass, or even be slightly subsidized to encourage more people to adopt the new system. What are your thoughts on this idea, and what ideas do you have for making the Xbox more affordable for users?
It's tough. I mean, it's a really tough economy right now. Like, with the components prices, and like, apparently America is now blockading the Strait of Hormuz, which is gonna also increase component costs coming out of China. So it's not a good time to really be talking about how can we make consumer electronics cheaper, because we don't live in a world where that's possible right now. I think I suppose like one way they can look at it is like get OEMs on board. OEMs are willing, because OEMs and hardware manufacturers generally operate on a lower cut or lower margin expectations than like the Microsoft would. So like, you know, they, for example, they've lowered the Xbox Ally stock. They've lowered the Xbox Ally price really hardcore because, you know, they want to shift that stock, and they'd rather get people into the ecosystem and look ahead to like maybe they'll upgrade to our next version if they like this, you know, so on and so forth. So I suppose OEMs is one way they could look at it and like get things down to a lower price point with maybe cheaper components or cheaper manufacturing or whatever else. But man, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one. It's not a good time for consumer tech.
Yeah, I don't know about the Xbox All Access thing. I don't even know how much of that was it a success or a failure? You didn't really hear much about it after it kind of launched. So I'm not really
Yeah,
sure
it vanished.
I'm not really sure how much that actually helped or not. And that's for a $500 product. And we expect Helix to be even more expensive than that. So I'm not really sure. I just don't really see that working out. So, like, what could they make it? The only thing they could do to make it more affordable is to subsidize it. And I just don't know if they will be able to do that or even want to do
Yeah.
that. I think it's just really going to be a premium high price device for hardcore fans of Xbox. And that's really it. It's not going to be I guess it also depends on, like, what does next gen look like? Because there's rumors about, I don't know if you saw this, but I think Moore's Law is Dead put out a rumor that there's going to be 2 PlayStation 6 models now, apparently. A PS6 Lite and a PS6. Where, like, the PS6 is... He had this listing where it was, like, the PS6 was going to be in between $700 to $1,000. It's like... that is a huge range. And then he had the PS6 Lite between 300 and, like, 500. So I'm like, oh, so PlayStation's doing... Dude, that would be fucking hysterical if PlayStation just copied Xbox's formula for this generation, where they just did a Series X and S version.
How are, like, all these dudes who criticize the Series S gonna cope with this situation?
It'll be fine because Sony's doing it. Duh. Sony do it better or whatever. You know? And then be like, you look at, like, with the financial, like, the situation going on with these prices, doing a cheaper, console probably makes a lot of sense. It's, like, you don't want to sell your mainline console for $800 because, like, not a lot of people are going to buy it. But if you do have a cheaper one for, I don't know, it's just hilarious that Xbox does it first and then PlayStation copies. It's kind of how it is. Xbox is just a generation too early, Jez. You know?
Yep. Seems to be the way it goes.
We have Panda Man who says, "Hey guys, I hope life is going well. My third Xbox controller went crazy with drift. Do you think they will update the standard controller anytime to include TMR sticks or something that won't have the drift issue as common? GameSir S7 Pro is a great Xbox controller as an FYI."
I need to find out, like, why it feels sometimes like they actively decide not to include TMR sticks, and part of me is wondering, like, is there some kind of licensing thing with regards to this? I don't know, but I suppose it's something I could try and find out. I don't know for sure what the plans are for the next controller. I mean, we saw, like, haptics was something they were thinking about. I don't know for sure what's going in there right now, but I for sure would love TMR sticks, or, the very least, like, something that's like anti-stick drift. Because, like, I bought this, the current Elite controller I've got, I bought this relatively recently. I bought it last year. It's already got drift, and, like, this is like with the default, and this is also with the default sensitivity settings. Because I know, like, you can basically, like, inject stick drift into the Elite controller, but I haven't done that. This is just the default settings. Whereas, like, my trusty, I've got a ton of controllers here, like the Razer Wolverine V3 Pro we've got here as well. Now, I don't like that so much because the battery life is abysmal on it, but at least the sticks don't drift. So a little bit like pick your poison, I suppose, but I'm sure they've heard the feedback about some of this stuff.
Let's see. We have Jimmy who says, "Hey, Jez and Rand. First of all, I would like to share my compliments for your show. I really like it." Oh, thank you. During the previous episode, you were talking about the renewed interest by Microsoft for the RTS games. The next Helix console will be a PC, so it makes sense. And Jez said, "That's World's Edge will have an important role in this strategy." So I would ask Jez this. What projects is World's Edge currently working on? This year will be released different DLCs for Age of Mythology and Age of Empires 4, but what can we expect for the future? Could we expect some announcements this year? In any case, it would be very interesting to read an article by you on Windows Central about the history of AoE and how Xbox was able to bring this IP to a new golden age. Thanks a lot, mate. There you go, Jez. So what's World's Edge looking on, man? What are they deep on making, huh?
One thing you've got to understand about World's Edge is that they are kind of more of a management layer. So not necessarily, you know, they're not necessarily a dev in the traditional sense, and I did hear some interesting things about what they might be working on. Like, I heard a wild rumor that, you know, which I don't believe. I just want to put that out there before I say this. But like there was like discussions about StarCraft with regards to World's Edge, and I don't believe that to be true myself, but it kind of like you kind of have to wonder like what's next for them, Like I heard that, for example, Age of Empires 5 is not a thing. So like I saw some rumors that Age of Empires 5 was being developed. I've been told pretty reliably that's not a thing. But you still have to wonder like what's next for them. And they're just gonna churn out expansions for the existing games. Like, and maybe that's enough. I don't know if you saw, but Age of Empires esports was absolutely popping off like a couple of weeks ago. Had a huge turnout, bigger than ever. There's a passionate fan base there, and it feels like kind of leaving something on the shelf by not delivering them. But a lot of the devs who worked on these kind of games, they're kind of scattered to the four winds now. Like the people who made StarCraft what it is, and the people who made Age of Empires what it is in the old days. Like a lot of them just aren't there anymore. So I don't know. I want to believe that they could grow into a studio and make this genre grow again, but it just seems like a very uniquely kind of passionate niche that maybe is kind of stuck. I can't see like little kids ever playing an RTS.
Right. We have Silas who says, "Hey guys, with the recent machinations of Xbox, reduction of needed margins, Xbox console updates, achievements, improvements, etc., it seems clear to anyone who knows what's going on with the inner workings of major businesses that the senior leadership team, Satya, Amy, had lost faith in the old leadership, Phil and Sarah, and weren't willing to cut them any slack in regards to AS, etc. I know what I'm about to say may ruffle some feathers, but looking at the overall scope of Phil's leadership from a business perspective, he did a substandard job. Yes, he saved the Xbox brand, but other than that, his record isn't that great. Minimal Game Pass growth, lack of software for series launches, etc. In 2 months, Asha has done more tangible work and re-energized the fan base more than Phil and Sarah have done in years. Maybe your vision for Xbox has allowed Satya and company to invest real resources in the brand. Thoughts?
I think some of it is down to the reduced margin pressure, and I think like I think it's a shame because Phil and Sarah are going to get blamed for things, and like, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? And a lot of it's just low hanging fruit that they couldn't do because of Amy Hood, essentially. But now that they've got the data that says like Amy Hood's regime was basically destroying the brand, and that no gaming company on earth could operate the margins she was demanding, and they've got that pretty strong evidence to suggest that it was a mistake. Asher can come in and sort of, claim a lot of this victories and stuff. And I'm not saying that she won't innovate and that she won't be instrumental in delivering for Xbox in a better way. I think Asher has a lot of qualities that will help lend well to the universe that Xbox finds itself in, like the social media adjacency stuff. I'm pretty interested to see what she'll do there, for example. And I don't think Phil and Sarah really got social media at all, or like or culture, honestly. And gaming is a cultural thing more than ever. And Asher's tenure at Facebook should go some way to helping her cut through that zeitgeist, I would think. But I also think I think it's really unfair to hand a lot of the things that were wrong at Xbox at Phil and Sarah's door because they were operating under circumstances that no longer exist. And yeah, they didn't make a lot of great decisions within that restriction, but you can't. The restriction is real. It was real. You can't really deny that fact. So, Bloomberg reported on it. I reported on it. It was a thing that was real, and now it's sort of not so much. So I suppose we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the more Asha does things where it's fan focused or it definitely will. People will definitely look at Phil and be like, "Well, how come Phil didn't do this?" Like hypothetically speaking, hypothetically here, right? Let's just say the discussions about exclusivity happen, and when they finish up, they determine that exclusives are best course for business moving forward. And moving forward, we're not going to be putting games on PlayStation. Will it, like, if that happened and it was like, okay, well, moving forward, these games won't be elsewhere. Do people then, do they just look at it and be like, well, how come Phil just didn't do that then? And would that become like a part of his epitaph on his tombstone? You know, that like Phil did this, and then like Asha saved it, or is it just because like, well, Phil tried it and swung for the fences, and sometimes when you swing for the fences, you don't hit the ball. You know, you strike out, or you hit a double play to the shortstop, or you hit an infield fly, where like nobody knows how it was going to go until you did it. Because, you know, I would argue Xbox probably needed Bethesda. I don't know if they needed ABK, but they definitely needed studios to make content for the dream that was Game Pass. Because I don't think it was going to work with the current studios they had. And then they finally had it all. And as like kind of what we always said, Jez, like it's like they didn't even really give it a chance. It's like they got ABK, and you have all this content, and then the first thing that happens after ABK is done is, by the way, we're exploring going multi-platform, and then we are multi-platform. It's like you didn't even just try to see if anything was going to change. And maybe you knew nothing was going to change because, you know, behind the scenes you had kind of given up hope on the console, right? Like they really weren't available. So it was like, well, we're not going to sell anything because we've controlled how many are actually in the supply chain. So we don't have any really to sell. And, you know, like Satya and Amy Hood are like, you spent this money, we want money back now. Like, you need to sell as much as you can. So it's like, so they're on the hook on it. But now because you took that swing, now, you know, the next batter has the data that shows, okay, like this is what happened. And now they can relay that up to the management, the manager and the owner, and be like, well, actually, maybe we put too much pressure on this cleanup hitter. So now the person coming in behind them has more data to work with. And it's like, okay, well, this wasn't a success, but maybe if we do this, that, and the third, maybe we can come out on top. So it looks like, I guess you could say like, well, you know, Phil walked and stumbled so Asha can run sort of thing, right? Where if that's kind of how ends up what happened. Where, yeah, it's like, do any of these updates to achievements or any of that stuff happen under Phil? Probably not, because I know like I know of specific projects that did start under Phil multiple times with achievements and other things that would progress a certain way and then just get stopped because priorities shifted. So I was like, if you go listen to other podcasts, I'd be like, I'll believe it when I see it when it comes to that, because I knew like Phil's position on it, or at least how many times it started and stopped and whatever. But you can also say like, this kind of goes to like I don't want to say this, the building of Asha, like the PR campaign surrounding Asha as an outsider to come in to save, I'm not even saying save Xbox, but like, you know, she comes in and she's doing all these things like, okay, we got updates to console that we haven't seen in a while. We got these achievement stuff. We're bringing back FanFest, which is something they cut last year under Phil. So we're doing all these like fan-focused things that the fans like. We're sending out, you know, influencer kits for a product that's not coming to store shelves in a year and a half and won't even have that name, that is getting ridiculed online by, you know, people who are, one, are either jealous of the people getting it, or two, because they feel like the people getting it aren't, I don't know what's the word, Jez, I'm looking for here. The people that are getting it are like bought and paid for, essentially. That like sending someone a hat or a t-shirt somehow is being like, yep, I'll just shill for a company because like they sent me this fucking $15 t-shirt that says Project Helix on it, even though like the company that they shill for would never even deem to acknowledge their existence. because there's a bit of jealousy that like comes in with that. But so you do all these things, and it makes it seem like things are changing. Like, oh well, you know, the winds are moving in a different direction, and I think if things move that way and more things change, you know, like I said, if the exclusive argument goes along the way that a lot of the fans want it to happen, then like Phil's reign will kind of look, I don't know. It's like the quote from The Dark Knight: "You either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain." Where like Phil was always heralded as the person who saved Xbox, and he just was in there for so long that eventually the multi-platform stuff was put like people turned against him because of the multi-platform stuff. And now you have a new leader with a new vision. And then, you know, like I almost sort of feel bad for him because I do really think Xbox wouldn't exist without him, without his leadership and convincing Satya to keep it abreast. Because I really do think Satya was going to shut that shit down. And somehow he was able to like convince them not to, but then actually convince them to invest and all these sort of things. And it's like, did everything Phil do was great? No, obviously not. But I think he did his best.
Phil saved Xbox. He saved it.
But at the same time,
not only did he stop him from shutting it down, he made it too big to fail.
Yeah.
So Microsoft has to keep it going. You know.
But you know, Phil fell on his sword, so now somebody else can be the hero, essentially. So, and there's, you know, we'll see how it all plays out for sure. Chris says, "Good evening, gentlemen. Hope you're having a great show. With so much of gaming, particularly largest selling game series out there, being fairly iterative, I'm curious your view on if Xbox is stepping forward to be the most creative of the three console platforms. Nintendo, for instance, pretty much just puts out new versions of the same dozen game franchises, and to their credit, that works incredibly well for them. Yeah, it sure does. Even Sony generally just iterates on existing franchises. Even Saros is really just a new version of Returnal, and it feels like it's been a while since they had a fresh IP. Meanwhile, Xbox is also doing much of that, but they also take more risks with things like South of Midnight Kiln and the one I'm looking forward to, Clockwork Revolution. Do you think being more willing to take some chances help Xbox as a platform, or does it open them up to more potential failures and scrutiny versus Nintendo and Sony, who seem to be taking a far safer approach to first-party titles? Appreciate the show, and I hope you both have a great weekend."
I think I really like what Matt Booty said to me in my interview with him, where he said everything big once started off as something small. And it really does feel like it's kind of Matt Booty's philosophy to let the studios experiment, because you never know what's going to be the next big thing, you know. I would never have thought Sea of Thieves would eventually be, you know, it was Metacritic like 6 out of 10, wasn't it? Something like that. I never would have thought Sea of Thieves would go on to become Rare's most profitable game, you know, well, their biggest just straight up their biggest game ever, you know. And a lot of people think of Rare as the studio that made Banjo and, you know, some of these classic games. But really, Rare's the studio that made Sea of Thieves. That's the reality of it now. You know. So I think it really speaks to Matt Booty's philosophy with regards to game dev, that Xbox and its teams get to experiment this way. And I don't think it's the wrong way to do it. And in a way, this is one of the benefits of Game Pass, because this is when Game Pass does work, is that with these smaller kind of projects, Game Pass can kind of like float some of this stuff. I think it's just the math didn't math when Call of Duty was involved. But I think for some of the smaller games, I think it definitely does help offset some of the, you know, the risk factor to some degree. Game Pass can take that hit on a smaller kind of project. But yeah, I don't see it as a negative thing at all. But Xbox has become big enough where they can have the studios that do the experimental weird shit, like Double Fine, and then hopefully have studios that make these pillar franchises like Forza, which gives them breathing space to invest in other areas, you know. That's it, I suppose. I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I think everybody does their own thing, you know. It'd be nice if Kiln came out and was like a massive success that nobody like predicted, and it was just like the next big thing. You know, because you never know what's going to be the next big thing that comes out in gaming. And you're right. I think like, does that game get made by a Sony or a Nintendo? Probably not. Although I mean, Nintendo does like do
I did
Splatoon.
make
Is like,
Splatoon.
yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
well, maybe they would. But I mean, Sony did make all those games during the PS4 generation that were widely, you know, successful. So now you're seeing a lot of sequels to that stuff, like the Horizons and the God of War remake, or not the God of War remake, but the God of War reboot-ish 2018 thing. You know, so it's like those. You know,
Someone in chat said we missed his super chat, by the way.
did we?
Sorry, I've just put you off there.
The only one we have here that I haven't gotten to yet because I was reading these. I'll go back to so. Yeah. Next question.
Someone from Hajan Tony said we missed a super chat.
How's the next gen dash looking? Can't see it just being Xbox mode like rumors suggest. Feels soulless. Why update it now if it'll be irrelevant?
It's a good question actually. I've heard that there is an effort to maybe there's stuff coming for the Xbox mode because you know I agree with you that it is a bit soulless and probably not really ideal for a console TV experience. So I would say watch this space on that one.
Okay. We also have Adam, member for 16 months, says, Jez, what's up with the Fable reboot? Is it getting delayed internally? Can we trust what the official Fable tweet said today? I don't really trust like what is the Fable Twitter account and whoever runs the socials really? What are they gonna say? Are they gonna be the ones to like? It's just a tweet. Like as of right now, of course, it's set for autumn 2026. We've known that since the Dev Direct. If at any point they are actually, because at least according to Grub, it's been delayed internally to sometime this year, but it hasn't been delayed to next year yet. So like, there's nothing to really tweet about. There's like, oh, it just proves it's wrong. It's like, no, it's not. That's not even what Jeff said.
Mm.
You know. But
yeah, I suppose it's tough because like people take delays in a different way. Like for me, if a game's like if they've said the game's coming out in 2026 and it launches in 2026, as far as the customer's concerned, the game hasn't been delayed. Like internal milestones wise, like I'm sure they wanted Fable out years ago at this point, you know. So you know, it depends on your definition of a delay in essence. But he did say like internally delayed, like suggests that maybe they've given it like an extra few months to do something, you know, or polish or something like that. But they would have, I would presume, that's exactly why they didn't give it a firm launch date because they were like, we might need to delay this at some point for polish. You know, I don't know. It's just speculation. I haven't heard it's delayed on my end, but I could try and find out.
Crippling Debt says, I don't play COD, but lowering the price to keep it out is a slippery slope. I don't want the industry to travel.
I mean, if it lowers the price, I mean, it'd be one thing if they took COD out and didn't lower the price.
That would be a disaster of epic proportions. If they took it out and it was like, actually, you're still playing $29.99 then. So it's actually worse. Yeah, that would be, no, Jez. That would be an epic disaster.
But if they took it out and lowered the price back to what it was, like $19.99. But here's the thing, like, I don't think it's going back to $19.99.
I don't think so either. I would think it's going back to like $24.99 or something would be
$24.99 or something, and then it's like, oh, hang on a sec, you sneaky boys, you know. My YouTube Premium just went up.
Yeah, I saw mine. So did mine. Still worth it though.
And still worth it for now.
Forever.
I mean, I'm paying for the family plan, so it's kind of like getting a bit spicy for me. But
how great would a Game Pass family plan be, huh?
It would be pretty great.
Damn EA.
They had a whole damn thing in testing. Well, this is the thing. If you make it modular, it's gonna be like, oh yeah, you can have the family plan, but EA Play is not in it.
Yeah,
And I'll
you
be like,
could.
okay, that's fine. I'll take that shit out. I never touch any of EA's games anyway. I don't play 20-year-old EA games. I own them all anyway. But I'd rather have a family plan for the first party shit. There's also like I don't. This is sort of adjacently relevant to what we've been talking about, but Microsoft just raised all the prices of their Surface products by a huge amount. So one Surface that was $699 is now $1,000. So that's a direct result of the RAM situation. So, oh boy,
Yeah, so we
not
have
looking good for Helix.
we have Shay Elephant who says Happy Friday, Rand Jez. Earlier this week, I've walked past the Age of Empire Woolulu Londinium tournament in London's Leicester Square. Jesus, it's all very cool. But
Leicester.
Yes, it's all very cool,
Leicester.
but I couldn't help but notice there's no Xbox logo on the big screen and posters. My question this week is why Xbox always have memory loss when it comes to putting an Xbox logo on things that they do, while they would never forget putting the PlayStation, Switch, Steam logos in their trailers. Thank you, gents.
It is a bit annoying. And I think Xbox should be a lot less apologetic about the fact that they own this stuff. One reason I think they didn't do it is because PC gamers don't give a shit about Xbox. And in fact, like you said, they're pretty hostile towards it. Like, I remember when Blizzard did an experiment where they put Xbox logos on some of the World of Warcraft and Diablo trailers on YouTube. And the comments were flooded with angry Blizzard people being like, what the fuck is it? This feels so weird having an Xbox logo on it, like all this kind of stuff. So I stopped doing it again. But for me, it's just like you got to get people used to that shit, and I would not apologize for it. For better or worse, this shit is owned by Xbox and own it. You know, I would have put that shit on there. But that's why I think they didn't do it specifically for the Age of Empires stuff. Age of Empires dudes definitely don't care about Xbox even vaguely. But I'm just like, why apologize for that shit, man? Like, you put together this tournament and you've kept Age of Empires going. Xbox as a company kept Age of Empires going when they could have just let it by the wayside. EA would have let it by the wayside. Own that shit. Put your fucking logos on it. You know, you fucking bought this game out of retirement, you know, and started making expansions for it again and grew the esports again. You guys have done that. Own that. Xbox deserves to own that. You know? That's just my opinion.
Thank you for listening to my TED Talk. That's what you should say.
Yeah.
Yes, we have Matt who says, Jez, you've talked a lot about Xbox needing new innovative social features. What about user save states as content where you can optionally publish and share your cloud saves? Someone could post an Elden Ring save with hilarious build right before Millennia, and everyone in the replies just clicking a link and loading straight into it and posting their attempts. Like a timestamp you can play. Could also be good for busy parents who don't have 80 hours to get to the good parts, or Gen Z and Alpha who just aren't sitting through a full playthrough anymore. PlayFab feels like it could actually support this.
Dude, that is a fantastic... I think that's a fantastic idea. That is an absolutely fantastic idea. Which I will run up the chain right now, actually.
It's funny because Xbox won't even let you... It's funny because Xbox doesn't even let you screw around with your own saves. You know? You notice that? Like, you can't even... I don't know why, but you can't.
Well, these are the kind of things which is why PC and all this other stuff has become more popular. Like, what did I play recently? My little cousin had me play a game called it was called Fever Meme. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
But it seems to be a big game with streamers at the moment. It's a Steam game, and it's like a bunch of memes. Like some Twitch streamer made it actually. It's like the basic assets from Unreal Engine, and it's a bit like Portal. It's a bit like a rage game, and there's loads of like little random messages in it, and you know, just like pure chaos. Like, it's the kind of thing you call slop if it was launched on Xbox, right? But it's kind of like become this stream bait kind of game. And these, but even though it was like slop and it was using like assets from the free assets from the store, the Epic Games store, and all this kind of stuff, this is like the kind of culture, the cultural aspect that like you can't really get on Xbox, and it is in things like being able to edit files, being able to just randomly decide, you know what, I'm going to vibe code a game in Unreal Engine, and I'm going to put it on the system, and maybe it'll go viral. Like that never happens on PlayStation. That never happens on Xbox. You know, and I know a lot of us here are probably like loath to the idea of Xbox being flooded with these kind of experiences. Like in fact, I think there was some news that Sony was actually deleting games that like weren't at a certain quality bar from the system. But at the end of the day, this is what the youth want, man. This is like why Roblox is so big. It's these kind of random, chaotic kind of stuff you can do with the freedom of the system. So the very idea of like being able to share your save files, like making a challenge mode build for Millennia, like that's a fantastic fucking idea. That's an absolutely brilliant idea. And it's something you can already do on PC. Like you can share your save files in a lot of games, and that kind of stuff. So I think it's a great idea, personally.
It's an interesting idea for sure.
Rand would
Uh,
love them because Rand could like, cheat all the achievements and stuff.
you wish they probably would be disabled for something like that. But yeah. See, Woody
Yeah, I
says,
guess so.
"Hello, fellas. No big questions today, but if you could grab a drink with any Xbox character, who would it be and why? I would choose Coltrane because I'd be curious how many beers he could drink. I'm thinking Andre the Giant numbers. Thanks for the show."
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
maybe.
who would I drink with? I'd probably drink with Cortana. You know? Yeah.
AI, hyper intelligent AI. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, the World of Warcraft characters count
I mean,
as
I guess
Xbox now?
yeah,
I
sure.
don't know, man.
I heard the new Warcraft World of Warcraft expansion is been Disneyfied. Is this true?
Yep, it is true. The story is terrible. The gameplay is great, story terrible. But
That's a
what you gonna
shame.
do?
Couldn't have happened
It
to a
is.
better franchise.
Yeah. Oh well. But who would I speak to? I don't know. I mean, Cortana is like hard to top because like you could ask him like basically anything, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But um, but like Cortana is still bound by the limits of human knowledge. Like, wouldn't it be cooler to speak to someone who's truly like a god who knows everything? I mean, are there any Xbox games where God is in the game and you could just be like, "So God, tell me the meaning of life," you know? That kind of thing. I don't think Cortana knows the meaning of life. Um, man, I don't know. I don't know, man. That's a tough one.
Conquer? Would you want to go hang out with Conquer?
Are there any characters that can tell the future? Like you could like bet on the stock market and shit like that. See, I'm thinking of practical applications here. When you
Mm.
just asked a fun question like which characters do you like, and I'm sitting there trying to work out how can I game the system here. Which character can tell me like good stock picks or help me win a bet or something like that? What characters can literally tell the future? I suppose Elisandra from World of Warcraft Legion expansion, she could like I'd talk to her and just be like, "Hey, can you give me all the best stock picks?" You know, that'd be fantastic.
I don't know, Jez. I don't know. Chris says, "Hey guys, two quick questions today. Since Jez didn't World of Warcraft recently simplify all the add-ons and remove a bunch? Since that was always one of the reasons it couldn't come to console, does it increase any opportunity for World of Warcraft to make its way into consoles?"
Now, the funny thing is, they did get rid of the add-ons, but people bitch so much that they kind of walked a lot of it back. So we're kind of back to square one here. The thing is, there's no reason why the add-ons couldn't work on Xbox anyway. They're pretty simple. And there are like NVIDIA GeForce Now has like a cloud-based platform for WoW add-ons. So honestly, the add-ons aren't the issue. I think the issue is like more so the engine. The engine is like creaking and on spaghetti code. So I would presume that if they want to put it on console, it'd be a lot of development time, which they probably would rather reserve for actually working on the PC version. So they're probably just thinking like, we'll just wait for it to come to Helix, and then it'll just work as is, right? At least that's my interpretation of the situation. But They did include native controller support recently, so they're clearly thinking about it. So
All right. And secondly, with Fortnite's recent V-Bucks price hikes and now Epic lowering the monthly payout for crew members from 1,000 to 800, does that also devalue Game Pass Ultimate? I
kind
mean,
of does, yeah.
yeah, I guess it does. Yeah. I didn't know they did that.
I didn't know they did that either.
It shows how much I
That's
pay
funny.
attention to Fortnite, I guess.
Mhm.
Although, did you see that Disney's making? Apparently, there's gonna be a Fortnite extraction shooter with Disney characters.
I love the idea of Disney murdering Moana and looting her corpse.
Yeah, it's
How is
hilarious.
that going to work?
Who knows? It's kind of funny. Good old Colin says, hello, Jez. Jez, you have been in Okinawa for a couple weeks, driving through the city and country. How excited are you to compare what you experienced in Okinawa with what Playground Games have to offer in Forza Horizon 6?
I mean, a little bit. Like I said on my show the other day, like I'm really high on Japan. Like I absolutely love Okinawa. Like I'm not a big vacationing kind of guy. Like my idea of vacation is staying at home playing games, you know, with a cup of tea or maybe a whiskey if I'm feeling spicy. But um, I don't usually like traveling. Like 100% it's for my girlfriend mainly. But I absolutely love Japan, so I really want to go back there. So maybe Forza Horizon 6 is the one that pulls me in, man. I don't know.
We have Johnny
One,
Cream.
I will say this though. One thing about Okinawa which really surprised me: the cars there are so different. They're so tiny. Like it's like the opposite end of the spectrum compared to America. Like when I come to America, I'm always shocked how big the cars are. Cars are huge. Like everyone drives these huge ass trucks and pickups, and huge vehicles. Like the kind of thing that in Europe only tradesmen use, but like just regular ass people driving pickups there. I always think's funny. But Japan's the opposite. The cars are tiny. They're like box shaped as well. A lot of box edges. And it's because the roads are so often narrow, like the residential roads. Like, I do wonder if a lot of those cars will show up in Forza because I've never seen anything like them. I didn't know they existed. Like little boxes, man. It's crazy.
We got Johnny Cream who says, do you think Halo Combat Evolved could be dipping the toes in the Unreal Engine before trying to pull off a more nimble, quick live service Halo in a way that Infinite failed to achieve due to lack of content?
Well, we know they've been flirting with Unreal Engine for a long time. I heard they actually got bits of Halo Infinite working on Unreal Engine, like Forge mode. So Unreal Engine is the future of Halo, and probably all of Xbox development, frankly. You know what, Rand?
What?
Random aside.
Okay.
Is there a universe where Microsoft could buy Epic Games or parts of Epic Games? If Epic Games is looking to sell, if Tim Sweeney's like, you know what, I've ridden this hard into the ground, and Fortnite's probably past its prime now, and like, you know, maybe he's thinking about the future and exiting. Do you think regulators would go for that? Let Microsoft have it?
I mean, I don't know. Would Microsoft want it? Would PlayStation not want? I mean, PlayStation's heavily invested into Epic.
It's the engine, man. It's the engine they want. Like Microsoft's spending so much on that engine license right now.
I don't know.
PlayFab, the only thing PlayFab doesn't have is an engine.
Doesn't it have id Tech 7?
They don't sell it.
No.
For some reason. They don't sell it, no.
I don't know.
For some reason.
How much would it cost to buy Epic?
1 billion. Well, probably more than 1 billion, I would imagine.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably pretty expensive. But I mean, hey,
Yeah.
you're gonna be buying another company when all their stuff is about to hit the downturn? That seems pretty typical, huh?
Sure is, bro.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the price.
$100 billion.
Yeah, probably not then at that point. Maybe Disney probably gonna get them. Let me see if there's any more.
Well, the thing is, Tencent owns half of it, so you'd have to buy Tencent out as well.
Tencent owns less than half of it, so you wouldn't
Well,
necessarily.
they own 40. Don't they own 49% of it?
I mean, I thought Tim Sweeney owns 51%.
Yeah, and Tencent owns 49%.
So I mean, all you have to do is buy Tim Sweeney's thing, and you own the company. Who cares? Sony owns a percentage of that too. I'm pretty sure. I don't think Tencent owns like 49. I know Sony invested heavily into the company.
Maybe they could just buy Unreal Engine then.
Yeah, maybe they could. I don't know. But anyways, I think that's all the Patreon questions. So thank you for dropping your thoughts, questions, and concerns. A lot of questions this week. A lot of interesting things going on. We're gonna try to do. Jez got an Xbox 2 plus 1 tomorrow, so make sure to mark that on your calendars. And we will be trying to do a show, obviously on Friday, which is a short turnaround. So Friday's show probably won't be that long. I also think me and you are also doing like Defining Duke on Wednesday. I think.
Are we both doing it?
I think so. I don't know. Cogs said he wanted us both.
Oh, well, I'm doing it.
3 podcasts this week.
Yeah, damn.
4 podcasts. Anyways, thank you for hanging out with
Maybe
us.
I'll do another podcast.
Yeah, thank you for doing. I think I have a podcast to do tomorrow too. But thank you hanging out with us on this Monday, what's today? April 13th. We'll be doing another show on Friday. Hope everybody has a fantastic day. Don't forget to check out our sponsor for this episode, sheriffsarc.net/XB2. Think about becoming a member of our Patreon, patreon.com/XB2. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, follow Jez on social media, and have a great rest of the day. I'm going to play some Marathon tonight, and hope you enjoy whatever you're doing. And with that, keep it gaming, everybody.
Rock and roll!